This is gonna hurt my.
Yes. My phone should always. I mean, my phone is somewhere over there on the
I never have it
tripod.
on loud because that's aggressive.
I'm glad because I'll both text you like first in the morning.
So everybody.
Mine's on Do Not Disturb permanently. I'm them warriors.
Thank you, Cal.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
Everything.
It's really sweat and
I know
tears.
it was a lot.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
it was a lot to
Yeah.
do this layout, but I really like it. I really appreciate it.
Is your name Carl or Kyle?
What?
Cal. So I just
Cal.
didn't hear what you said. Cal? Carl?
Yes, Cal.
Callum.
Cal. But when
Callum.
you say when Cal comes, it's Cam.
Cam. It was for me.
Cam,
I
Cal.
was dyslexic as well. It's really hard.
I'm having a stroke.
Yeah.
Stroke is crazy. Lois.
Gotta check.
Millennial.
I'm not even that old. Fuck you.
Roadcaster recording. Easy. You know what? I'm still getting used to the new system. Did you remember everything was over there?
Yes. That's okay. You good?
And ATEM recording.
Brilliant.
I'm still looking for the this. No,
Let that plant.
Oh, what, these any of these menu?
this is a long back one.
Long black remote.
Not pause.
Okay, cool.
Got it?
No.
Does it change any? Does it? Okay. Oh, I think it's there. It just fell out of your.
It's behind that.
Oh, the yellow.
cushion.
Yeah.
So right now, 45 seconds has passed.
Yeah.
Do you need the door open or closed?
He will close the door because
Okay,
no one
cool.
can.
And I can wrap this up. No, I want to see you guys anyway.
Oh, we're scared. We're shy because it's our first one.
Some behind the scenes feedback.
Gang.
I'm
Make us
joking.
laugh.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm scared. Sorry.
We're so
Why?
grateful for that.
We're okay.
Okay. Yep.
Just look it out. No, it's true because if my voice sounds nasally,
Oh, it's true.
it's like. Okay.
That's
Behind the
this.
scenes
I
action.
know you guys are ready.
It's crazy.
Yes, the behind the scenes is killing me with patting my chest and. Right, cool.
Okay, cool. You guys ready?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're ready in 3 and 2 and 1.
Do you know which one we're doing
Oh.
first?
I'm just deciding in my head right now.
Guys, don't worry. It's our
No, I
first
know
one.
already,
If
I
it-
already know
it's
already.
Yeah, no,
nothing
no.
Perfect. It's just.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Wait, are we looking at each other or the camera?
Oh yeah, we should decide that. I think we should always
I
when we're
can't
talking,
turn.
look at each other, but sometimes look at the.
Which camera is it?
You need to look at the middle one because that's
That
the one
one?
that they're going to
Okay,
see.
cool.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Money Podcast. We're so excited to be here. I'm Lois, and sorry, let me start again.
That's fine, babe.
That's right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Money Podcast. We're so excited to be here. I'm Lois,
I'm Shola.
I'm Ruth.
and we are the New Money crew. So we started New Money because we have experienced a lot of challenges on our way up the mountain. We
Yes.
have. We've overcome them though, and we want to share the guidebook with you. So New Money has 3 pillars. It's to empower, it's to educate, and it's also to recharge. So today what we'll be doing is delving into our founder stories and just look at those elements of our stories which kind of tie into our pillars, and you guys can really find out what it is about us that has made us start this up and just really hopefully be encouraged. So today the topic is cute, empowered. Okay, so this is about empower.
Right.
So I would like to find out more about you guys, and we're going to go into the story, whatever's your founding story, how you guys came from where you are, where you came from. Yours is you could Google
Crazy.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also long as well.
You don't. So you can.
So,
You don't have to
yeah.
go into the long
Yeah.
versions. You can just pull out the parts that you think are specifically kind of like why you think empowerment is important. Where were you? When would this have mattered to you? What you've got to say now? How would that have mattered to the girl that you were? You know, at the whichever beginning point you want to choose.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start off with Shola.
Okay, girl. Okay, so where do we start? So I would say, I guess it all started when I went to secondary school, like a normal person in Croydon, and I realized that I didn't really like my subjects. GCSE, maths. I mean, we always joke about we can't do maths. I still can't do
Listen,
maths, but
Still.
those sort of maths,
It's new money and they
English.
can't count money.
Right? It's like,
When did that we can count money?
and know how to make it. We can get an accountant.
Get someone else to do that for me.
Literally.
But right, so maths, English, history, all of that. I was like, I hate these subjects. It's boring. I hate it, and I just was like over it. And I was like, what can I do? I don't want to do A levels because I don't even like these subjects as GCSEs. So what am I going to do next? And then I realized at the time I loved fashion. I loved watching America's Next Top Model.
Yes.
As most people
Yes.
do. So I was like, I want to be in that. And obviously at the time, there wasn't as much information. Like there wasn't just TikTok where you could just be like fashion or how'd you get into fashion.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, you don't know. And sometimes you're in a box. Go ahead, Lewis.
I was actually going to pause because the funny thing is people don't know where you are now. So, I mean, just to give you context of who you are actually, and like, your where you're pinning who you are right now. Obviously, just to give you some context, Shola has just won the 30 under 30. Well, she's on the list of 30 under 30 Europe. So now listen to her. Because
Context.
Context is key.
Context is key.
A-levels, but she's got awards.
Listen,
It works out.
Money,
it cancels out. Okay.
I was like, we need to give context. Please
It's so
keep
true,
listening.
right?
Yes.
Like, stick with me, trust the process.
Trust the process.
Like,
Right. Keep going.
So yeah, anyway, also we all went to fashion college weirdly. I don't know
Love
why,
it.
but it's like, well, the girlies
We
went
like
to
the nice
fashion
things.
college.
Yes,
Like
with
nice
the finer
things.
things of life.
Literally.
Right? So I think that first time I experienced sort of like mentorship was that point where I had 2 careers advisors and I was like, cool. I went to the first one. I was like, I want to get into this fashion world. I don't know what job, but like, can you help me? And she basically was like, no, her daughter does fashion. And looking at my grades and me, she doesn't think that I'd be able to do it.
To do
So-
fashion?
The
Yeah,
audacity.
so she shut me down
For me.
straight away. Bearing in mind, she wasn't even a proper careers advisor. She was literally the librarian in the school, and then they just brought her into the thing. And I don't know. So anyway,
Not bear in mind she's a volunteer.
yeah, right. So she volunteered to do the job, so she wasn't
Working
even
for free.
right. And then she's there telling me that I can't do it. But obviously, when you're young and you're like what 15 or 15.
Yeah.
Is that GCSE? 15, 16.
Yeah.
When you're that
15, 16.
age, it's like when someone tells you you can't do it, you're going to just kind of believe them. Well, I did anyway. I was just like, okay, maybe it is too hard, so I didn't know. They then exchanged her for another actual careers advisor who was amazing. And she was like, I think you can do it. You should go for it. Check out Fashion Retail Academy, which is where we went.
Yeah.
So then that was the first time that I realized, wow, like somebody believes in me. Like she gave me that confidence to apply. And although it was a stretch, like it was a long shot because where I'm from, like nobody actually went to a college outside the area. So like most people stayed in Croydon or maybe went to like Norbury or somewhere else within like the borough.
Yeah.
Whereas this college is in central London, Tottenham Court Road. So I'm, going from zone 4 to like zone 2. And like, it was a very different experience for me. So I didn't think I was even going to get in because I remember doing like the interview and we had to come and we had to do all that
Oh
prep.
my God,
And
yeah.
everyone's turning up in designer. And I'm just here like, okay, this is a different world.
It's completely.
But I want to be here too.
Yeah.
So I tried my best and I got in. And at that point, I was like, okay, I've made it out of ends, even though there was so much more to the story. And then went to fashion college.
Wait, before you speed on past that point.
Go, girl.
I feel
Yes.
like there's 2 things I want to pull out of that part of your story. The first thing is sometimes you just need to say yes and figure it out later. And I think that it's really good when you get that feeling between, what you want and just deciding to just go for it, even if you don't know if you've got the qualifications for it, even if you don't know if you've got all the credentials. I think when you're young is really a good time to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's also the time where a lot of people like to put on you what you can and what you can't do.
Right.
And a lot of the time when you're stuck in child mode still, which is that weird position in school where, people are telling you what to do, but like in 2 months, you're going to have to figure it out for yourself.
Right.
People stop telling you. So I think if anyone's listening to this who's young, I think it's important to just realize that people may say that you can't do stuff, but there's going to come a point in life where those people are not going to matter anymore and you're going to have to speak up for yourself.
Yeah.
So I think I'm glad someone came in
I'm
and
so
kind of
glad.
just
Yeah.
gave you the
Yeah.
encouragement to go. And I'm glad that you actually put your all in and you went for it. That's amazing. Like, that is something that I'm so glad you got to experience, because then when you enter into that world and you get that feeling of like, and I love when you said it, because I've had this feeling so many times as well, where you're just looking in a room and you're like, yes, I want all of this. I want all of this.
Yeah.
And you start checking out what people are wearing. You start checking out like how they're
know.
speaking.
Yeah, that was different. I don't know about you, Ruth, because you experienced it as well. It was very different. Like,
Yeah, I think people don't tell you how your environment, I always talk about this, conditions you. And it's one of those things where if you're talking about conditioning, you've never actually seen what you're being
You're used
opened
to
up
your
to
own
a whole,
environment.
a whole new world. So it's like even traveling in, it's just like I'm actually traveling past
Yeah.
just taking a quick bus to my friend's house or taking a quick
Yeah.
bus to maybe where we normally would meet up kind of thing. So it's now like I'm seeing different things in the world. So that means I can attain different things in the world. It's kind of like I see it, I
It's
can
so
get it as well
important
at the same
because a lot
time.
of people, as they get older, stop challenging themselves because that feeling of challenging is uncomfortable if you don't let yourself go for what you want.
Right.
But I do believe that all human beings will consistently be pulled to greater because we are growth and expansion beings.
Yeah.
When you are very rigid against the call of your heart, that's when you get jaded, that's when you get miserable, so you start telling people they can't do something.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like what I love about that is like, I love experiencing new rooms and new spaces. And I actually feel like as you get older, it definitely gets more and more of a challenge to not get comfortable.
Yeah.
Even when people are saying that you're doing good. I think that one thing we can all say right now with the new money is we all kind of come from things that are kind of like pedestals, we're doing good.
Yeah.
And we've stepped into something that's a challenge and something that's new and
Yeah.
different.
Right.
Because we wanted to step into something that mattered to us and something that created something and an environment and a community that can matter to everybody. So I think that it's important that even when people are like, clap, clap, Forbes say under 30, or like, clap, clap, like whatever it is, you still challenge yourself because only you know where you're going to and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
So don't ever
true.
be the smartest person in the room. Who's the smartest
Ooh.
person in the room?
Right? And even what does smart even mean? Because that's a whole other
It's
conversation.
relative,
Because there's
yeah.
so many different versions of smart. Like,
Yeah.
it isn't just book smart. And that's something I had to realize about myself.
Yes.
Because I was always like talked down because I didn't have the like A star, or you know that person who would cry that they got an A, and it's like,
Yeah. It's like,
honey,
sis,
I
I
want,
got a C.
do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, and you're crying about it. But really and truly, when it came to street smarts or just being able to talk to people and have interpersonal skills, and like when I was working in retail, I would always do the best for some reason. Even though if I was like
Yeah.
16 and people had been in it, because I had that drive and the hunger.
It's also
I would
being a
do
creative. You work better with your hands than you
Exactly.
do with just
So
sitting in the cinema.
smart really varies and
Yeah.
depends on what it means to you. I don't really think there's one definition.
Do you know
Yeah.
what? I'd say you're completely right. And I think that the thing that's maybe not smart is putting yourself in a space that doesn't value your skills. So like if you're in an
Yeah.
environment where you're like working as an accountant and
true.
you hate numbers and you know it's bad.
Is that why you
Wrong
there?
environment.
Yeah.
You
Why
know
you
what I
there,
mean?
babe?
If you hate 9 to 5 and you're in an
Yeah.
environment where you got to be the 9 to 5, wrong environment. And it's
Yeah.
sort of like everyone says, a fish always feel bad if it judges itself by its ability to climb a tree. You know what I'm saying? But a
100%.
fish can swim. So find where you can swim.
Yeah.
So you were at college feeling the tingles.
In the tingles, and you know, at this point, I don't know where to delve into because
So how did you
Listen.
go from, how did you go,
Aye,
how did
aye.
you get to, because I don't actually know exactly,
yes,
because I don't really know much, you know, I just know her
It's
vibes
real
immaculate,
vibes.
but I don't know that
Yeah.
much about her. So what is it that kind of,
how? What is
Yeah,
the
how-
like?
what-
How
how
do you
did you
get
get
from
to-
there?
yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's so weird because it's not conventional, and that's
Okay.
what makes it beautiful.
Yeah.
But it's also like hard to explain, and it isn't something that I can say to like another young person, follow my steps and you'll get it.
Right.
Everything kind of just happened. So then at the point of college, that was all cool. And like we thought, you know, you come out of college and you're going to find like a really cute fashion girl job. That wasn't really working out. I knew I didn't want to go to uni, although everyone was forcing that down my throat, constantly being like, just do UCAS as a backup plan.
Right.
I'm in like college pretending to fill it out because I was dead set I'm not going. And I couldn't find an apprenticeship either in fashion. So I basically ended up just saying, okay, cool, find any apprenticeship. So I found like a digital marketing one, a tech startup company. Now the company was very small, and I would say that it wasn't anything I wanted to do at the time. And this is what people don't get. I am someone who's willing to do the hard or take 10 steps backwards to go one step forward, if that makes sense.
yes,
Yeah.
because like I always say, it's better to walk in the right direction than drive a Lexus in the wrong direction.
Right,
A
right,
lot
right.
of people driving Lexuses, but where you go?
Where you don't know where you
going?
going.
Do you know what I'm
You gotta
saying?
fall off the cliff, honey. And
Literally.
that's the point, because a lot of people were kind of like, well, I'm waiting until I get that fashion amazing job after college or get into that fashion whatever. Whereas I was like, I ain't finding nothing. There's money to be made. I need to help with bills at home. I need to find something.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just take this digital marketing apprenticeship in a tech company. When I hated the idea of tech, I hated the idea of education because it was ed tech. But I was like, at least I can get the qualification and one day I can make my way back to fashion. So that was like the first mini sort of career sacrifice I took. But it turned out to work out for me because it was a small company, and in any startup, you're doing a million things.
Right.
That's just how it is. So where somebody might have gone to a huge company and doing like the admin stuff, making the teas and coffees and all those stereotypes of an apprentice, I'm doing the job of a manager, an exec, a junior
All
person.
at the same time.
All at the same time. I was the second member to the team I joined, which was a community team.
Our story is very similar. I'm literally.
Oh
Right.
my God, no way,
So
this is weird.
That's so weird because
Right?
I went to fashion uni.
Yes.
And I was like, I need a job now. And then I was like, I'm not going to wait for a job.
I'm not gonna wait.
So then I applied for
Like-
financial marketing, which I hated, but it was a 2-person company. I was a second person. So keep going.
Maybe this is the
really weird
footprint then, guys. Just find something
Footprint.
you don't like and just go to a company with like 10 people.
Well,
But
I mean,
I don't know.
I
It
think,
worked.
I think a big part of it though is what kind of person are you though?
Yes.
Because
True.
I think you decide to take the best out of any environment. Do you know what I mean? So you will
Very
grow
true.
in any kind of soil because you just are about growth. There's a lot of people who maybe do need to wait for the best thing
Best
for them
fashion
because
or whatever it
they're
is.
not a flower they're not a plant that can survive in any kind of
Right.
environment. So you have to know what kind of person you are. I mean, I was okay with pivots. I'm okay with like, I did this.
Yeah.
And then this doesn't work out. I'm moving. Doesn't work out. Doesn't work for me anymore.
More.
It was
Yeah.
great when I got it.
Yeah.
I'm moving. I always call it like monkey bars. You know, when you play that
Yeah.
thing with your
Yes,
kids.
that's a good way to
Yeah.
describe
Yeah.
it.
And I think
So
your
I'm
steps
okay.
are your steps as well.
This is
So if
it.
you're supposed to be in a certain space in your life, in a certain area, you're supposed to be in that space. And even if you don't feel like you're supposed to be there, it's one of those things that it will teach you something. So for example, education tech, I'm sure you use it in when you're doing your TikToks.
I mean, I'm
To
literally
be-
a like,
exactly.
career
Yeah,
influencer now.
yeah,
But at
so-
the time, that wasn't my goal. I
Right.
wanted to be in fashion.
So this is interesting then. So it's kind of like you do take things from where you are. And I would say then
Yeah.
a good empowering statement is just be teachable. You
Yeah,
know,
all
at
the
the
time.
end of the day, let life teach you, then you can just move on. You
Yeah.
know, and there's always some value from it. So you're in this 2-person company.
It grows, it scales really quickly because like the person who owned it was Ewan Blair, so Tony Blair's son.
Oh,
So
What?
naturally,
Oh, sis.
so yeah, and it's so embarrassing because I didn't actually know Ewan was
You see, I was
Ewan
today years old.
when I
She
met
got-
him. So I remember. No, it's really embarrassing because I remember like he was sitting opposite me and I didn't know. Because you know what I mean?
what's weird about
my
that?
head's down. I'm
Where
just
my
off
shop
Croydon, I
was
don't
in
know.
Connaught Street, the Tony Blair lived the street over, and he used
No
to send
way.
Christmas cards with the family on it. Again, weird. Like,
Why is this so much?
Yeah, that's crazy.
are you gonna
You're
like?
me in
I
a
feel like you're
different
gonna
dimension,
final
I don't
boss
like-
me, and then maybe like we kill me, and like that the end of my life, like I should have known.
Like, I just don't know what keeps happening here. There's always some weird
Like,
thing.
where the fuck?
Oh, listen.
I'm like this. Okay. No, but then keep going.
No, but I didn't know who he was. So like I remember somebody sitting next to him and she was like, so this other guy was like to Ewan, I have a picture of your dad in my house. I'm thinking, what is this weird?
Sis,
company?
try again.
What
I
is
don't care
going
if it's
on?
Tony Blair. Don't ever
No,
say it.
but I found it weird at the time. Because I'm just this young apprentice doing my work and I'm like, what company have I? And then I found out she was saying, you know, it was a nice picture of Tony Blair and the family. And I was like, wait a minute, who is that?
Yeah.
And then that's how you know I was so naive. I'm
Yeah,
just trying
yeah.
to like, I'm going from like fashion college to this company. I didn't do the research. I didn't know.
It's your next year.
Then I found out. Then I'm there researching the office about this guy. And then all of a sudden I'm trying to sit up straight and I'm like trying to be different.
Like
I'm
his
trying to
dad
be,
pops up
and
on
I
the
was
screen.
scared. I was just like, where am I? But I honestly think it helped me a lot because he's quite a really nice person and he's someone that was like a sponsor to me.
Okay.
And that's what anyone really watching who's young, if you're in a company, it's really important to try and get a sponsor, which is basically someone who's going to have your back, who's going to train you, who's going to give you those opportunities to leverage you. So I was doing really good work. He would see it and then he would leverage me. So like on team meetings, he'd be like, Shola's doing a really great job, or, you know, just basically like fuel my career. So that helps. So over time, I was just growing in that company really quickly in terms of like the responsibilities and like my, almost like my, I don't know what you call it, like bank of worth in a way in the company. Like people
Yeah.
respect you. So yes, I'm an apprentice, but they know that I'm doing this and I've grown this and whatever. So as I'm growing, the company is getting bigger as well. And then it got to a point where I moved teams and that's when it kind of went downhill because I had a manager that was really, I guess, intimidated. And that's something we can probably talk about. We can stop and pause and talk about as,
Yeah.
especially as a young, ambitious black woman, when you're growing and you're doing well and you're thriving, I think sometimes people are just intimidated and it can be really hard to deal with. I remember I asked her for a pay rise and a promotion and I came to her with my Excel sheet. I was like, I've done this, I've achieved that, here are my goals.
That's very good.
That's
Very
like some
good,
people
which
come with
some
nothing.
people don't do.
People
Hopes
aren't
and
even
prayers.
gonna come with anything.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know they're waiting for a promotion. I'm like, no, you need to be the driver of your own career. So I'm not waiting for you lot to decide when you're ready. I'm telling you
Yeah.
I'm ready, but I'm gonna come with the sheet and all of that. And I had mentors, that's why I know that at
Yeah.
the time. And she was like, I'm not giving you a pay rise because when I was your age, I was earning less than you and I survived.
See, this is what new
See,
money
this
is
is
gonna
it,
fight,
yeah.
because at the end of the day,
Yeah.
this
She
is
was
very-
from old money.
But that's what.
Boarding
See,
sometimes
school.
they're very so, you know, like sometimes, you know, they're that old money can sometimes be very comfortable with the classes and be very comfortable with the ranks, you know.
but then also just an environment as well. In this, like, it's just like you stay somewhere for years.
I think
And some people have
happy for
been
you
in
to
the
stay somewhere forever. That's what your people do.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it was almost like, how dare you ask me for this promotion?
Yeah, but you
Yes.
know what? Actually, it's interesting. and I don't even know if I keep this in, but one of the things that I do find about England
Them
is
ones.
it is very much set on ranking, like a hierarchy system, and we don't really
Very
realize
much
that.
so.
Because even in the UK, like back in the day, they used to have, careful with the tapping on the table. I don't know if it's gonna make the mics.
Oh,
What's
it's
that sound?
not me, but what is that?
I don't know. Okay.
We should figure that out though. 'Cause what is that?
I don't know. Be careful when you're talking. You do the on the table.
Oh,
Nails.
okay. Cool.
Okay. So, yeah, no, but back in the day, the UK used to have like the feudal system. So basically, certain colours even you couldn't wear because you weren't of high birth. So you can't just wear purple. You can't just wear
Yeah.
red.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. So like they even
That's like
had
systems in
rules.
schools.
Yeah.
Like in these like boarding schools or like private
Mhm.
schools and stuff like, they still have those systems.
special blazers,
Yeah,
things
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's very much about like putting you're where you are supposed to be and pretending to not even like it was punishable by crime to wear the wrong colors
Mhm.
because you're pretending to be something you're not,
Yeah.
and these things are signs of high birth. So
Yeah.
that mindset in the UK where we do have like middle class, upper class, high birth and royalty, it kind of does filter down to people's sometimes old mindsets where it's sort of like, we're happy with you where you are. And so I think in the UK, one thing we need to get used to, especially as women who, didn't always have the rights to work,
Mhm.
is if you're going to step into a world of work, you need to know where you're trying to go and advocate for yourself. And if
Yes.
somebody's not being movable, then you move out that place
Yeah.
and you go into something else. And that is why I think a lot of the time, like monkey bar theory in life is really, really important.
Yeah.
Because I think if you really think about it, a lot of the time when women do move, or when black women move, or when anyone who's other moves, it could be because somebody refused to get out of our way.
No, most of the
Well,
times
that's
it
why
is.
I moved.
Yeah.
This is
After
it.
her, I moved company.
It's not so much that we wouldn't be happy somewhere. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
And I
I
think that's
had
so
to.
important. Be okay with the movement. You might get people judging you. Did
Yeah.
anyone judge you when you left? Was anyone like, why did you leave?
Yeah,
any
a few people
family
were
and friends?
asking. No, more so people in the company. I think
Mm.
family and friends actually understood this
Mhm.
time, and I feel like I gained that trust with my family because they were before kind of like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you're not really like for uni. Like, what are you doing basically?
Yeah.
So I had kind of proven like I know what I'm doing, or at least I'm trying to. So they were like, if you're not being like fulfilled, then it's time to leave. But it was more people in the company who were like, oh, why are you going now? Like, you've done so well. And it's like what you were saying about, it's like you're happy for me to do so well, but when I'm ready to move up, no,
Mhm.
that's too much.
Yeah.
Stay there. Like, we
Yeah.
like you there where we can control you. And I wasn't gonna have that.
So
That's
important.
just like,
And it's
you need
things
to know when
happens
to
as
move,
well.
guys.
It's like
Mhm.
of 1 second, pause. I think what we'll do is a person's story per episode because
It makes sense, yeah.
It's
there's
too
no,
long.
it's no,
Yeah.
you can never. Okay, cool. So and I'm enjoying how deep we're going into it.
Same.
So okay, so you left.
Yeah, so I left and then I moved to a company called OMD, which is like a media agency, and I loved it because for the first time, because I had that like toxic situation, I felt like it was a company that really understood that I wanted to grow, I had ambition, and they kind of nurtured that. And they were like, come in and do what you need to do, flourish, grow. And I had great mentors, and I was really close with the CEO, and it was a really good company. And it was the first time that I kind of wiggled my way back into a more creative industry, because that was obviously education, tech, a lot of C-suite, B2B, and then this was more like, like my clients were like Channel 4, and like you got to do really cool, creative, fun things.
So was that a job or was that an apprenticeship?
This was official, yeah, so this is an actual job now.
Oh wow.
So
And how
that
old were you?
title, I was 21, media partnerships and influencer marketing exec.
Amazing. But
Mouthful.
I'm
I love
telling
that.
you,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
a millennial, they're very happy to hire you because we're scrambling to keep up. Sometimes it's just sort of like hire a kid.
No,
They know what
legit.
it is.
Yeah,
Because it's so annoying when you have somebody who like I know I've
Yeah.
experienced this. It's like someone they have the role, but they have no idea
But they have
what's
not
going
a
on.
clue. Yeah.
And it's usually if they're wise, they might have someone on the team who at least knows who's young and it's natural to them. But sometimes it's like being a fish that can swim or like wearing a submarine outfit. It's like I'm not nimble. I'm in the water, but I'm not nimble. I think
Yeah.
that happens a lot. So it's a great opportunity, kind of with these new techs to get in. So you got in on influencer marketing.
One thing I forgot to mention is that when I was at the previous company, that's where I learned about LinkedIn, because it was a very
Right.
B2B serious kind of professional, traditional company. So everyone was on LinkedIn. So I'm this young person being like, oh, so what's LinkedIn about? Like seeing what people are doing, seeing that something changed.
Yeah, keep going.
Something shut.
Hold on, wait. Is it camera 3? Let me message Cal.
Is he coming back in?
Is that your
Like
camera?
you can hear.
It's camera 3. I would attempt.
No, call
Yeah,
yeah,
3
message
shut
him
off.
because
Yeah.
that is you're the one who's talking.
I need to remember what I'm talking about. But yeah,
In your LinkedIn.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like doing one story per episode.
Yeah, it would be.
Because there'll be
a
so much to
3-hour
touch on.
episode.
Because then we
Yeah.
can really deep dive
I hate brief podcasts that don't get into it. Like I like people to have a brief podcast, but I hate when people don't get into the actual questions, like the actual story.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sort of like you never
Like,
really got into the meat. Like,
yeah.
so how did you? Because I keep hearing Shola story, and I'm like,
Yeah,
It's
I
good.
know.
There's something-
Also,
I've never really heard.
I know what you mean. People are like, how did you get on Forbes? And it's like, there's so much elements to it. That's why I need to remember LinkedIn, because for personal branding was the biggest thing. That's really the situation.
I'm gonna go to the toilet again because I'm glad of that stuff.
Water break or whatever it's called.
Break nicely at that time? Or
Yeah,
you
I
could have
know.
kept on going.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, yeah,
Even
yeah.
without the camera?
Yeah.
To be fair, it started deep because I was moving on to a new section.
Okay.
So it wasn't bad and it wasn't great.
Conversation.
It's a really good conversation. I'm really enjoying this already.
Remember LinkedIn, please.
Oh, yes, please.
This camera will shut off every half an hour.
Okay, is it still recording though, or no?
Right now it's not because I stopped it.
Yeah.
But yeah. It will, well, no, that one won't be still recording. You'll get Shola's footage from the wide angle basically.
Yes.
Okay.
Until it comes on, and then I'll press record again.
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm monitoring it.
Once Lois is back, basically,
Yes.
then we'll okay.
But I'm monitoring the video.
Cool.
Oh, you're on it.
Yeah,
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 you're
yeah,
on your phone.
yeah,
I
I'm
forget
on
you
it.
can watch it. How's it looking?
It's looking really good.
Yeah.
Bless her.
I love that.
And runs and everyone thought it was crazy. It's a journey.
Leaving your shoe in the door.
The whole shoe. The woman next to you was she got those shoes. One shoe up, one shoe off.
Come on, Shola, sit down, sit down, sit down.
Sorry.
Let's go. You ready?
Like I have an agent. Sorry.
Is it on?
I don't even know how it was saying. Yeah, no, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna shut off every
every half an hour.
Half an hour.
To think that we want our episodes to be 15 minutes is mad. Maybe because the intro ones just have to be longer, but going forward.
No, I think 15 is hard. It's hard to do 15 minutes. You have to.
Yeah,
like,
because
Yeah, you have to
we've
cut
got so much to
everything
say.
These aren't 15-minute episodes. We
No, no, no.
That was this is a half an hour episode, hopefully.
Okay,
Although,
because that's been going for half an hour.
yeah, but we didn't start at the beginning of it.
Thank you.
So a big part. Oh yes.
Let's jumping into it. Yes.
So I'm gonna say it up, and then I'm gonna let you jump
Yeah,
in
so
because it's
we'll
gonna
go
have an
into
easy
LinkedIn.
end. Yeah.
Mm.
So a big part of what everyone knows you for is careers, but also personal branding.
Yes.
So now you've moved to the new company, you have a chance to be a new Shola with everything that you've learned, and so just tell us about that experience.
Yes, so personal branding was key. So at the previous company, that's where I learned about LinkedIn, understanding it as a platform. I wasn't too sure. I was like, maybe, this is for people who are a lot older, who have experience. I'm not too sure if I have value to add. But I don't know, I just felt like I did. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try and be someone to change the game. Like, I want to be that person that comes on LinkedIn, speaks about apprenticeships, speak about, how it's helped me to get to where I am now. So I've always been doing personal branding at some point in my journey since about 19, I would say.
And how would you define personal branding?
Well, I think at the time for me, it was about picking who I was, and a big part of my identity was being an apprentice, because that's what everyone would love to talk about, whether it's, oh, I can't believe you've done that, it's like the BTEC version of uni, or wow, it's interesting.
Who said it?
Loads of people in my school.
You were very ignorant.
I know,
Ignorant, yeah.
so rude, and it
It's-
like
yeah.
saying how it's because you're not smart enough to get into uni, and like, so it was always a topic. So I was like, let me
Well,
be
they're
the
smart enough to
topic.
pay them uni debts.
Right. It's nice looking at my account knowing there's
Yeah,
nothing
you.
coming out.
That's
Yeah.
it.
But well,
Don't do
apart
us
from
like that.
Chelsea.
I went to uni, but don't do us like that.
Yeah, not the uni.
I went to uni too.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
crap,
no.
sorry.
I'm not gonna lie.
An apprentice would have been great.
It would have been amazing.
No, that's funny. I'm sorry, guys, but
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry, please.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna make this a topic, and I'm actually gonna try to challenge perceptions and like myth bust. So I would jump on LinkedIn and I would just be like, as an apprentice, this is what I did today, or my apprenticeship helped me to get this opportunity, and I would just start posting what I'm doing. And I built a following at the time, a small following of people who just wanted to learn more about apprenticeships. And then when things came around like National Apprenticeships Week, people would be like, oh, can you speak? Like, can you come to a school and speak to the students, or can you do this ad with us? And like over time I just started to become this apprentice person. Like if you think of apprenticeships, you think of me, and then I'm always going to be doing something. So that was like my personal brand. So what was scary was when I moved from that company into this new agency, as you were saying, to build a new brand, because I was like, I can't talk about this forever. Like, what are you going to do? But at the same time, you like being known for something. And it was hard because I feel like that was also around the time of COVID, where like there wasn't anything to do anyway. I wasn't going into schools and talking. So I felt like all of that hard work of building this like mini following was like no one cared anymore.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So that happens to people so much, especially with social
very
media,
true.
because now we have the audience. We have the peanut gallery. The peanut gallery has become the people who also sometimes pay us. And normally in life, they'd say, don't listen to the peanut gallery. But now you might have 10,000, 20,000 people saying, don't ever change. You've got influencers who talk about, you know, being proud, being curvy. If they lose weight, then everyone hates them. You've got people when they're vegan. If they they cheat a day, like everyone hates them. So any kind of change is really quite stressful when you have people watching. So how did you kind of like, how did you navigate that space in your mind where you're like, I could lose them if I change, but I have to do what's right for me?
Basically, at that point, I took a break low-key for a year. I forgot to mention also, I managed to do my TED Talk when I was 20 because of the apprenticeship stuff I was doing. So somebody knew like the application form, and they were like, you should apply to a TED Talk because we really like how you've done stuff around apprenticeships. And I did it, and it was based on how apprenticeships can take you from the streets to the boardroom. And that was basically the title of the TED Talk.
That's so good.
And I done that thinking, great, after this I'm going to be this great person. Then obviously I've moved company now, it's COVID, there's no brand.
God,
like
we can talk.
Girl,
COVID, like
That COVID,
literally,
it's like, what now? So yeah, I remember sitting with myself being like, okay, cool, you like personal branding, you like to inspire people, you like to talk about your journey, so just figure it out. Just wait, you know, give yourself the year off to do nothing, and then it will just come to you. So you know,
it's brave of you to actually take a year, because I think this is a good thing about COVID in a way, is that people are allowing people to kind of take a bit of a
everyone had to
pause.
slow down.
But the thing that I find exhausting is that it's almost like a taboo word, especially in the world of careers, to actually say you're taking a break.
Especially for women.
Yeah, it's like,
As soon as you say you're taking a break for a woman, it's like, okay, are you okay? Like, are you gonna be all right? Like a lot of these athletes now that are just like, I'm taking a wellness break actually, because I've been doing this since I was 6. And everyone's just like, oh my God, like, why? She the peak of your career. And it's just like, okay, at some point I'm going to have to sit down. And if it's not with pregnancy, it's okay if I don't sit down with pregnancy as well.
Pregnancy is not even fun, bro.
Exactly, it's not. It's not
a break.
It's not a break. I'm on another full-time job that I'm gonna have for the rest of my life.
Right? Like at
It's
the
like-
same time.
It's just like, and people don't speak about how much a break is necessary, especially for women, day to day, week to week, month to month. Like, we just need a break,
Hour
and
to
it's
hour.
okay. No, legit,
Right.
minute to minute. We're gonna go down to seconds. Like, it's just, we
Literally.
need a break enough to gather ourselves, to be able to say, okay, cool, this is the break that we need to get clarity. I always say, I think I posted yesterday about being a creative, and it's just like, it's okay to take a beat. Creatives don't always need to be on, because we are always on. Like, there's always something, naturally we're always on. So at some point we're gonna have to take a break just to say, okay, I need clarity on where I'm going, unless I will just be in chaos. And it's like, people are okay with chaos when it looks productive. However, with peace is one of the things where it's just like, if you have peace, you're going to be productive, because you have clarity also that comes with it at the same
About
time.
output as well.
Yeah.
Not just trying to just do
Like frantically
just,
being
just
all
be
over.
doing something. But that's
Honestly,
the problem with social media. Everybody needs to look like they're doing something,
Right.
even if they're not. No, if they don't know what they're doing, why they're doing, or
They
if they
need
still want to do it,
right.
they're showing that they're doing something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I always say, like, the art of becoming, because, you know, back in the day when you used to have a wonderful painter, they would take a whole, and this actually ties in beautifully back to your apprenticeship point. So back in the day, when you would have someone who's a wonderful painter, for example, they would take themselves, let's say Monet or let's say Van Gogh, and they would go under another artist, and they would learn. They might wash paintbrushes somewhere rural and spend 2 years working as an understudy to that great person, so that they can then perfect their art form. And what we get from that is the great artworks that we have today. These days, nobody's okay with the learning process. Nobody's okay with being a novice. Everybody wants to be seen to be doing stuff. Their
Right.
becoming
So
stage is not glorified. And so therefore nobody is able to become. And you need to take silence. So you can even hear your inner being. You can hear your soul. You can hear yourself. And you can allow yourself to think about where you're going, where you are, and allow that to speak back to yourself. If you're always putting what you're doing now out there
Yeah.
for a reply, is the advice that you're taking even yours? You've got those unemployed careers advisors. Is your whole following.
librarians.
This is a
You know what I mean? And they're out here
Listen.
telling you that you
Yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
move. You can't do this. And people will speak their own insecurities back to you. So I feel like if you are going to create anything great in your life, taking those times to just allow yourself to
Yeah.
not really, be explaining what you're doing. So was it difficult for you to kind of just be like,
It was, because I felt like there was this expectation that I should be doing stuff,
Mm.
and no one even said that to me. It's what I had in my
it's
mind.
Yeah.
programmed
Yeah.
in all of us.
Conditioning.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking everyone's watching, like what is she doing next? So it was scary, but then because of COVID, it was almost like a cop out. Like, well, everyone's slowing down. Like, loads of businesses have to shut. Like, loads of people can't do what they're doing anymore. Singers, their tours are cancelled. Like, so it didn't feel as bad. I felt like I was
You're like,
protected.
Beyonce's taking a break.
Yeah, I was like, Beyonce is like not being able to perform, so like I don't, and it really helped me mentally because I was a bit scared.
Yeah.
But at this age now, I don't care. Like now, I'm very much like, if I need to take a break, I'm taking a break. I don't
Yeah.
care what people want to see from me because I know where I'm going, and I know that sometimes a break is going to help me to get to where I need to go.
So
I'm very clear.
So you took the break, and then how was this Shola 2.0 emerge out of COVID?
So, obviously, during COVID, TikTok. I mean, obviously, I think TikTok was around before, but that's when TikTok became the
Yeah.
thing, right? Everyone's dancing and like kicking toilet roll and like
Kicking
it
toilet
was
roll
just
is
a
crazy.
big Like I remember doing that trend as well. Like everyone's just on TikTok, but I just couldn't get with the dancing, and I felt like TikTok was a very like immature app at the time. I was like, I'm not gonna be here dancing. I just didn't find it interesting. But I was, I don't know. I just didn't find it great. Let's just say that it was boring at the time for me. And then I was like doing research one day, and I saw some girl in like the US, and she was something at Google, like let's say marketing manager, and she made a whole like TikTok about her journey, and she was showing like day in the life at, like at Google, or how I got my job, and like how to do things, and people were interested basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is interesting, because the role I have now doing this like media partnership stuff, everyone is like, what is that? Like when I would say the title, people would be like, what is that? So I was like, maybe I could just create like a TikTok about my new journey and like figure out LinkedIn another day. So that's basically what I did. I was like, I'm just going to jump on TikTok and I'm just going to make a TikTok about media. I didn't have like a strategy. I didn't have a deck. I didn't have anything to explain it, but I was like, I'm going to just do that. And then that's what I did basically. So
And that just took off.
I just took off. I just started doing day in the lives. Then I was like, how you get into media? And obviously you're starting from 0 followers when people are seeing and they're like, oh my God, that's cool. I want to do that. How'd you get into the industry? And people start like asking you questions. So then I would answer them. And then I was like, this is interesting. Like this is needed. And a lot of young people want to get into these industries, but they don't know how. So why don't I just be that source for anybody who wants to get into media? If you come on my page, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So over time, I was growing that whilst I was at the company at the same time. So I was growing my brand and then growing in the company as well at the same time. And it really helped me grow in the company because it showed that I was somebody who was on the ground, that understood trends.
Yeah.
Naturally, clients want to know about TikTok, if I can show what I'm using it anyway. So it really like bounced off really nicely. And then I would just show on LinkedIn, like, guys, look what I'm doing on TikTok. And somehow it just grew over time. And that became my new personal brand. And that's what I basically did.
So there's like so much to take out of it. First of all, I
Yeah.
think like maintaining your own personal brand whilst working at a company is so important. I think we're seeing more of that, but it really
Yeah.
helps you to have value when you leave the company, or just the company, it adds to your
Even
value in general.
promotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like being
Yeah.
somebody on a football team and
Yeah.
you've got ads, you know what I mean? Like we've got the Jordans.
like
We're Michael
even like
Jordan
Marcus
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
on the Lakers. It's the Lakers,
Yeah.
right? Is he on the Lakers? Oh Lord. No, it was the
No,
Chicago
it was
Bulls.
Okay.
yeah,
Wow,
Chicago
okay.
Bulls. Yeah,
Not me watching the whole documentary and then getting it wrong. But anyway,
I was like,
I was like, Marcus Rashford's a good example.
yeah,
Because he has a lot of brand and like that's anyway.
Yeah.
I know a lot.
he's
about
a young
that.
one.
Yeah.
My brain's
Very
like
not.
Michael Jordan. Anyway,
Yes.
but yeah, Jordan with the Jordans. Exactly.
Yes.
So you become the Jordan of your team, which can be annoying to other
Yes.
people though. That can be threatening to other
let's-
people.
Yeah. That's
But,
the
ooh,
But we move.
yeah,
So you have to kind of ignore that because there were some people who would make little comments like, oh, you're doing your TikToks again. And like, you know, just not as supportive. And then you have the people who are like, this is great, I love what you're doing.
And that was at every stage though. That was at every stage, but they teach you how to not care about the next point. Yeah,
like someone isn't going to like what you're doing, or someone's going to be intimidated. And it's almost like I'm bulletproof to it now, because I know that if I go in a room, 50% of people aren't going to like me, even though what I do is about helping others. But I don't know why, actually. I'm not even going to say why. I don't know why.
It's not your job to figure
and
it out.
It's not. It really isn't.
Exactly. I don't know. But once you kind of know that, you can brush it off, because a lot of people are scared to show themselves online, because TikTok isn't easy. It's not, I'm just getting on there and having a great life. Like, no, I have to plan content. I need to sit here and talk. I need to come up with topics. I need to research. You have people saying to you, oh, it's not this, or it's like that, or I don't agree with your opinion. And you have to show up, and you have, you know, people watching your stuff. And that can come with even people like, I mean, I've never had like mad bullying, but you know what I mean? Like people might be like, oh, I don't like what you're wearing. Or so it's not just as simple as doing TikTok. I think people just look at the lavish side, like the partnerships, but it also, you can feel away. Like I was definitely scared at first, like taking my camera out at work, because I knew some people were just like seeing it in a more cringe way. And that's a big thing. Like when you're a creator, like the whole fear of being cringe is like something you really have to get over to do well.
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
easy.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you want to move into a different space, then sometimes you have to do things differently than people around you. And respectfully, when I'm on the plane, though, it's cringe for you.
Right? Yes.
I gotta tell
No,
this
legit.
cringe for you.
Yeah.
No,
Like people are
exactly
scared
that.
of being cringe.
If you're comfortable in the room you're in and you don't want to be exactly with the same place these people are, then you need to do something differently. And so I feel like being uncomfortable is really good. So what would you say, obviously I've pulled out some parts of your story, what would you say are 3 things that you would like to say to empower young Shola from where you are, where she was?
She's a legend.
Okay. The first thing is, I would say, you don't have to have it all figured out. That's a big testament to my journey, because, you know, where we stopped isn't even the end. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, no.
Which is fine.
Okay.
Just for like camera.
She's still alive.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm still alive. Like the chapters are still there. But like you don't have to have it figured out. Just go with the flow. And that was always my mentality. Like I remember when we were in fashion college.
Yeah.
And my fave, Jason, who was like our lecturer, was like, he was telling me about the uni and UCAS, and I was like, I don't want to do it, whatever. So then he said something like, so what are you going to do then? And then bear in mind, this is all love, he's great. But he's like, what are you going to do then? And I was like, I'll figure it out. And I just had this confidence, like even at this age, I'm like, why did I think like that? I don't know. But I just knew it's going to work out. You're just going to figure it out. Sometimes things just happen. And no, it didn't go perfectly. I didn't, you know, do the perfect A-levels to get into the perfect uni, to get the perfect graduate job. It wasn't linear, but it worked out for me. So you don't have to have it always figured out. Another thing I would say is you have to kind of be, what's the word? Not afraid of breaking boundaries and stepping on people's toes. It's not easy, but you know, when I came to that lady and I was like, I'm ready for a promotion, I knew I was ready for a promotion. So she didn't want to give me one, so that's fine, I'm going to leave. But I'm never not going to ask for a promotion because of how she made me feel. After that, I asked for many.
I'm fair of how she'll make you feel.
Yeah. Some people,
right?
Yeah.
Some people after that might be like, oh my God, I'm never going to ask again. Like that went badly. But no, if you want to get to the top, I think you have to be ruthless about what you want and be driven, and like don't take no's for like a no. Find a yes somewhere else. I think that's something I've done. Like if there is a no, I would try and find another way out.
Yeah.
Which I think is positive, but I think for me it was because of survival mode, in a sense of, oh, you know, you have to make money to help at home. So I couldn't really lounge around and just be like, no, I had to figure out another option.
But you know what the funny thing is, not to complete your third point, but
go girl, go.
I feel like the great thing about that is, because I do empathize with that, but there comes a point where you take the right train to get to where you're going to go, and then when a new train presents itself, you take that train. So there comes a point where when you're coming out of struggle mindset, you will be like, you know, get rich or die trying is what me and my sister used to say in my head.
Yeah,
like, get rich or die trying.
I love.
There comes a point where the universe is like, okay, cool, like you're now in a different room. Can you switch from somebody who is used to working themselves to death to somebody who's able to say, I need a break because I'm different now. I'm in a different room. Things are better for me now. And I think a lot of people, if they don't know how to basically switch from the person who's in scarcity mindset and survival mode, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's where you were. And that did get you to where you're going. But at the same time, that is not going to be right for every stage of your life. And you have to go with, you know, your intuition when you've graduated from something. And I think that actually that's a perfect close, because I think that, to be honest with you, with women, we have different seasons. And I think that hustle culture can sometimes be very linear. It can teach that, you know, this is how you do it. You put in these amount of hours.
Yeah.
And as a woman, for various different health reasons, family reasons, you may not have those hours. So you need to be able to like craft your own story,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one size doesn't fit all, because no
Yeah.
women are the same.
Yeah.
Not every woman's the same.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing
I
your
love
story.
that,
Could
yeah.
you just quickly go back into where you are now, though, because I mean,
Oh yeah, so
I
after
do wanna
that,
know.
yes. So after the agency, I then moved to a company called Complex UK, and it was a big promotion because the role was brand lead. So I was like leading, and that came about because of LinkedIn. I was like scouted, or whatever you want to call it. And she was like, "We've seen all the stuff you're doing, because personal branding is key, guys. Like,
It
never
is.
just do well in a company.
Mhm.
Talk about yourself outside of the company as well." Because I was doing that, she found me, and she was like, "Go there." And then basically in March, I was like, it's time. I mean, for a long time, even at that company, I knew eventually I do want to do my own thing. But I think I was just ready to take that leap of faith. And I knew that I had built enough success with all things Media Assist on TikTok. And then obviously we've got a new venture, obviously. And then all the other sort of like personal Shola, like Shola West stuff, life, I don't even call it. But I was ready to do the thing and just go for it.
Ready to back yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what my mentor always tells me. Is
Yeah.
that you just need to back yourself now.
That's it.
Like, you don't always have to have the structure. And although I didn't go to uni, I do feel like I've had a lot of structure of being in a company from a young age and working and knowing that, you know, you're getting that paycheck every month and you've got people older than you who can mentor you. Whereas this is like a complete different leap of faith. And what I will say is it's not necessarily what I had envisioned as that 16-year-old girl who wanted to work in fashion. This is very different.
Yeah.
But I really love what I'm doing now. So I feel like you do find your purpose.
So
in the
that
end.
so then the third point would be back yourself, kind of like
Back yourself.
Yeah.
back yourself. I think that's really good, because they were all things that you had to learn. To me, your journey is perfect,
It
because
is.
it's all things you had to learn to become where you are today. And there's even greater things that you're becoming. But what I think that I would really take as inspiration from your story is that you are someone who's very much in tune with who you really are as a person intrinsically.
Yeah.
You'll say things like, you know, I had the confidence too, but there's a version of you that you very much have kept intact,
Yeah.
and you reference, and you just let yourself feel if something's right or feel if something's wrong.
Yeah.
And if somebody has broken down their intuition, I would say the best thing you could do is just try to get that back, because it's as simple as sometimes there's little things that don't feel right to you and people just sit down, they keep quiet, they don't say. And some people have been conditioned from childhood like that.
Yeah.
Maybe who weren't celebrating their ideas or whichever, however it happens. But if you're a woman and you're listening to this and you're just like, I remember that girl, or, you know, I remember being a child and that was kind of slapped out at me, whatever it is, just really learn to start listening to yourself. Even if it's writing a journal, give yourself permission in little ways to kind of like back yourself and see how wonderful things can start to work out for you.
Yeah.
Because you can only follow your own map.
Yes.
Yeah.
You only follow your own map. Other people's
I love
maps will not
that.
lead you
Yeah,
to where you
won't.
need to go.
Yeah.
Perfect summary.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so what I was going to do is actually going to do a new intro. Now that I know who you are, because before it's like, she's Shola. I'll do an intro based and then explain people a little bit like about your, like the brief like introduction of you, and then we'll use that as an intro. Because the
No.
intro last
Sorry,
time
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
hi, welcome. We're going to go into our founder stories. This is Shola.
Oh, yeah,
But now I
okay.
can say it's Shola, all things Media Assist, or whichever. You can explain kind of like a brief summary of your story. So then that's at the beginning instead. And then I think that that would be a better intro to use, because since it is a podcast just for you now. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. I don't even know how to intro that enough.
Then I'll do it. I'll listen to your story. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I mean, are you gonna? Because I was gonna say you could use the clickbait title,
What is that?
the whole 5 guys to Forbes, and then you can say she's gonna delve into that journey, or
We
you can
could.
say because the rest is hard to explain. Like, because then what are you gonna say?
No, I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Lois do what Lois does.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do this.
Let's start from the beginning. So I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourself. Then I'm going to go back into, as in I'm going to ask you to say, hi, I'm Ruth. Say where you're from and what you do as well, I think. Like,
When
so
you say
say,
where
I'm
you're from.
as in like, I'm Ruth from Ruth Creates, is it?
Well, not where you're from, but what you.
I could just say what I do, because that's
yeah,
what.
but,
Yeah.
So Ruth Creates all things. You might know from all things Media Assist. You might know.
Oh, okay,
Just
cool.
give
Your
people, like,
ads.
a reference quickly,
Okay.
and then I will go into explaining more about a little brief intro about you, and then that's it. Because
For her one.
yeah,
Right.
for
Okay.
her one. So basically, for example, I'll go like this. Hi, I'm Lois, and I'm hi, I'm Lois. You may know me as founder of St. Ames,
Okay.
also MP Hero. And then you can be like, hi, I'm Shola. Hi, I'm Ruth, and you know me from all things create. I'm a branding expert. And then we're going to go. And today we're going to talk to Shola, and then you'll be like, hi, I'm Shola. You may know me from all things media sis, and we are the founders of New Money. So today we're going to talk about Shola. Shola has had a rocket rise to where. And just basically so that there's a bit of.
I think we had some. To be fair, because I was like, we can use some of the 30 under 30 when we were speaking before to not make it too long. But
no, I think I just think a quick succinct intro. That kind of, because remember where break. Well, maybe you keep it, because I did say like I kind of said, oh yeah, I didn't say who you were, and then we said it later. I was just thinking if I could just.
I know what you're trying to say. Though.
Compact
trying
that,
to
just in case that part sounds weird. Compact it. Cut to when you're actually talking about your story, and we went forward. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you guys think, because my mind's in very much like social media cut down mode. I'm not good with the long form, so I've lost it.
Just in case, I'm gonna get that version, and it might help us with the
long form. Yeah.
Just in case, because we've got it set up. Okay, cool. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome. We are the founders of New Money. This is the New Money podcast. Today we have the beautiful
Ruth, and I am head of director of my own company, so Ruth Victory Studios and Ruth Creates LDN on Instagram.
What a great name, Ruth
Thanks.
Victory. It's almost like she was set up to win. And we have Shola West. So Shola, tell us where we know you from and what you do.
Yes, so I have All Things Media Sis on TikTok, where some of you guys may know me from, and I'm also recently Forbes 30 under 30 this year.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That was Forbes 30 under 30, in case you
didn't hear.
that. We're going to rewind the card back, catch that. And hi, my name is Lois. I am best known as a co-founder of St. Ames. St. Ames is known as the prettiest cafe in London. We've popped up in Dubai. We've popped up in Japan. We've had Ashanti, Issa Rae, and I'm also known as an MP hero. What does that mean? It means my local MP said, you sis, you're doing good things.
Yes.
So I'm also here because I just basically met these women, love these women, and we really felt a need for the energy that we bring to each other, the advice we bring to each other, and we felt that story needs to be told, and we love telling our stories to empower. So today we're going to go into Shola's story. Shola, you've had a wonderful kind of like meteoric rise, as they like to say.
I love that.
I think I saw the title that went from 5 Guys to Forbes. The journalist who wrote that was proud.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then the pictures side by side, it really tells a story.
Side by side. Yo, did they have you in the picture though?
Yeah.
I would have been like,
girl, I need to show you the picture.
Whoever's deep diving on Facebook needs to stop. Sometimes I go through Facebook and I delete my own pictures in case someone ever sees. I'm like, no, don't catch up. We'll be famous one day.
That is what you're like.
You don't have to, literally, like these journalists. So I'm so excited to get into your story. So let's hit it. Okay, that's the intro.
I didn't even know there's so many claps.
There's so many.
So that makes sense, right?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah, it's good to have 2 minutes.
And then
see.
Was my intro calm because I
liked
blanked
it.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay,
Do you
cool.
know what it is? We're used to talking so fast that when we blank it and say something, we often feel like
It didn't make sense.
it didn't make sense, but actually feel like, thank God they slowed down because I didn't hear what they said.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
So great. Are we going to go into the next one? Because it's going to cut out in 15, I think. Should we just... I say record 20. It's going to cut out in 6 minutes. Is that right?
He said keep going and then we'll get Shola's angle from the middle. That's what he said, but I...
So do you want to do another episode? Is that what we got to do?
Might as well.
Okay.
Might as well do yours because... any of you two.
Yeah, mine might be...
My camera's cutting out. It doesn't matter.
Mine might be shorter. I don't know if that's true.
No, but that's
yeah,
fine. Even if it is.
No, because the thing is, I know where I'm starting because it's starting similar from secondary school. But like, I'm trying...
It doesn't matter if it's short, because we're going to dig the gems out.
Your story might not start from secondary school. If you really think about who you are, your family, where you're from, why you think the way you think, why you got such... Like, don't necessarily have to start from the same place. Or if it does,
it
that's
does.
fine.
It does.
Okay,
Because it's the same career situation.
We're going to grab out those nuggets to talk about
for sure.
segments. Ready?
Yes.
I got you.
Okay.
Are we doing that same intro?
Yeah, because it's got to be for yours now.
Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. So wait, do we have to say our names every time?
Yeah.
Because at some point,
people do.
we need to just be New Money, right? And not talk about...
No,
but
just for
now you
this.
just say your name.
Oh, yeah.
You
You
have to go into like where
we are.
From,
Okay, cool.
Yours is the first one.
Okay, cool, babe.
It's up to you. Although, if I was you, I would say, for example, I would always say Ruth Creates London if I were you, whenever you introduce yourself to
I could just say from Ruth Creates London on Instagram and
head
director.
Shola West. Shola West stands right.
And all, yeah.
I know, because I feel like I still want to be, you know what I mean? I don't want to
She wants to get...
She wants to delete it. And I get that.
I just want it all. That's just the truth, guys.
it
Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
don't want to just be all things media sis because Shola West has its own identity.
So
Yeah,
then
yeah,
introduce
yeah.
yourself as Shola West and say
So we're
what
just
Shola
people.
West is doing. You can say I'm Shola West and I'm a speaker. I'm power.
Because if
Like
I say
whatever.
co-founder of New Money, you two don't. It's just weird.
But they know we're co-founders
Yeah,
of New Money.
we're
I'm
here.
just saying, like,
Oh.
you can say what you're passionate about. So you can say I'm Shola West and I'm Shola West and I'm empowering speaker, like whatever you want, whatever you want it to be like. Or we could just say our names, but I think we
We
should
say
just
our
definitely say
names.
names.
Yeah, we could say our names. Yeah.
But I think the first one was important though.
The first,
Yeah, so we
yeah,
have to
because
redo
the
it.
first is
the
go
first
first.
ever
Yeah, I agree,
podcast.
I
It's like,
agree.
you're fucking stupid.
I don't know who
Should I
he
say
is.
more for that then.
No, because we went into 45 minutes of the real more for you.
Okay.
It's fine, they know.
Okay, cool.
They know who you
Sorry.
is.
Social
Sorry.
security number. All right, cool.
Okay.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
So, hello and welcome for another podcast. We're in the same outfits because we stay working.
Yeah.
But yeah, hello and welcome to another podcast. This is the New Money podcast, and again we have
Ruth?
Shola.
and Lois, and today we're going to get into Ruth's story. So, Ruth, now tell me, where are you now?
So right now I am a head director, founder of my own company, my own digital design company.
Okay.
And I aim to help young creatives in general, visionaries that don't really know about digital design or don't want to DIY it themselves, because we know some people love to do that, to get to a point where they're just like, I love what I've produced, and to tell their story. I love a story because I know I have mine. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, I love to tell a story through visual stuff because I learn visually and I love aesthetically pleasing things, not surface level aesthetically pleasing things, but things that make some sense.
Yes.
So
You get like a pleased feeling. When you see
yeah,
something
it's just like I can tell why that color is there and why that font is there at the same time,
I
and why it's
love
layered
that.
together, and why there's proximity, alignment, placement, all
you
of
love
the
the
stuff.
alignment.
This is
Yeah,
how
I
you
know
No,
that,
legit.
yeah.
Why is it
We
in the
know.
middle? What's
We know.
stop?
We know.
Why is it?
She's
Why
like-
is it in the middle? Why is it on the side? You saw me moving stuff around.
Yeah,
your
I
stage.
did.
I actually
I
can't
did.
see lines. I get this like when it comes to things lined up, I can't see it. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
You're like, this is
But yeah, scary. But yeah, like that's where I am now. Yeah.
okay, so great. So one of the things I was going to ask about is because you said Ruth's story.
Yeah.
So let's get into Ruth's story. And I know you're going to want to jump into college,
Mm-hmm.
but I kind of want to jump into early Ruth. What did you want to do?
To be fair, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think because I was good at arguing, and always had a good witty comeback, it was like, oh, you could be a lawyer. And
That's
I
what
was like,
you say
Yeah,
too,
that's the
Yeah.
go-to thing.
like, I hate
yeah.
reading. I'm not going to
Yeah.
do that. While I do love standing up for people, I don't feel like it's necessary for me to be. It just wasn't me, to be fair. I think in another life maybe, but no. And then I moved on to fashion designing because I just loved.
Yes.
I loved
Fashion
drawing.
girlies.
Yeah, I love drawing. I love making sure that people felt good with what they were wearing. I think it was just I think that's where my love for fashion came from.
And so how did your family kind of feel about you choosing a creative career?
To be fair, I think everyone was okay with it. They were calm with
The
it.
generations
Yeah.
have changed.
They have legit, they have
Yeah.
changed. I think some family members, it wasn't in my immediate, I would say. I think extended, it would just be like, oh yeah, can I send you clothes to sew? And I was like, coming from a Nigerian background, no,
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you. Actually.
They're missing the mark.
Yeah,
of what
missing
kind
the
of
point.
fashion
Yeah.
you're talking about.
And it was just like, oh yeah, can I send you material on Tuesday? I said, I just got into fashion college, and to be frank, I don't know if I'm gonna get in. I just got the
Them
email. Do you get what I
ones.
mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think from that it was kind of like, oh, is it a hobby? Are you being serious?
Oh, yeah.
So it was one of those ones where I was just like, okay, like I guess this isn't going to be an easy road to explain why I'm here to people.
And so did you stop explaining? Because I you know, people keep asking. Sometimes you need to have a pre-arranged answer to that
Yeah.
kind of. So
Yeah.
what was your light version?
I think my light version was just to say, oh, I'm studying this and keep it moving. Because I would always
Say
go,
less.
yeah, it was like, I don't have any desire, unless you ask more questions with understanding, I really don't have.
Well, I like that
Yeah.
about you actually. You do have that ability because I'm a rambler. Like, you know, pretty soon, like I'll tell you where the body is.
Stop.
But you're very good at kind of staying friendly, professional, but you have a way of just kind of like that look.
Yeah.
Kind of like I said what I said, so that's the answer. So
Yeah. I think I learned from a really,
Boundaries.
a young age where it's just like, I don't need to over explain what it is I'm doing so that you're pleased.
yeah, we had different parents.
But yeah, where did you even learn that from? Because
I think me having to feel like I over explain like I need to over explain myself.
Yeah.
Like I just need to over explain what I'm doing, what I need to do to please people. People pleasing has been a thing for me for a very long time. So it's one of those things where I just don't want to do it anymore. So I think you're meeting. I used to be a rambler where I would just keep going. And if people that I'm still trying to please, like say someone closer to me, I'm still trying to please, you will still you will still see me like trying to get them to understand.
Feels horrible as well.
Yeah, it feels like, and then if people don't really give you what you expect, it's then just like, oh, what am I doing? But it's just like, I would rather, I would rather not.
And also you're setting them up as a judge and jury of your happiness in your life.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good point to kind of people to take away. It's just kind of, I've had to master the art of, I actually just cut people off because I find it easier. So if I've said something to someone and they always asking me questions that make me feel funny, like, oh, does it pay the bills or whatever it is.
That does it pay the bills?
Don't.
So literally, which one do you want to pay?
Yeah. But they ain't offering.
They're
They're
not.
not. They're just
really not your business.
Yeah.
So rather than say all that, I just literally, I'll just have that encounter and then just decide that I'm going to stop speaking to that person because every time I meet you, you keep asking me, you keep saying
it's
things
not a nice feeling.
You're trying to like, catch all the bullets. Like,
it's not making
it's just like, and sometimes you don't realize it when you're out, but then you actually go home and you just feel really icky, like you want to have a shower.
Yeah, like why was I asked that question in the first place?
Auntie so and so.
Yeah.
So people just see me like I'm just
you will see me in the corner. Yeah. You
can catch me on TV.
Honestly.
So for you,
love that.
It was.
I love
people were like,
that.
I saw you on TV. I was like,
oh my gosh, yes.
So now you know how I pay the bills.
Tune in. Exactly. Now you know.
The bills are being paid.
They're being paid.
Literally, but I think that's great. You got to silence your own room so that you can actually think. So you were in uni.
Oh, my journey started secondary school. So I loved fashion design from then. And then I was kind of at the crossroads because I was never really a maths, English and science person. It was just, you need to pass these. And I was just like, and I think my journey was different because some people would just be like, okay, I just didn't know what to do. And it was just like, no, I was in the classes with my teachers doing mock exams and tests till 6 or 7 p.m. Me and the caretaker knew each other like, hey, are you going to leave now? Because I need to go home. And I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll leave in a second.
Hey, you're like,
no, hey, little dummy. But yeah, like, it was just one of those. It can.
That's not judgment.
Yeah, no. No, most definitely.
Just like, kids still try.
Yeah.
I know.
No, legit, like, and it was just like my friends would go home and they would tell me stories of how they went to each other's houses, and I'm just like, yeah, no, I was in the class. Oh, you're just trying so hard. It's not because like I want an A. I probably know I'm not gonna get an A, but like it's just I'm just scraped for the C, like, and it's not the mindset where I'm limiting myself. I just know my capabilities. So for example, in those subjects, because I remember like getting my first A in English, and I was like, what did I do different? Wow. But it was because I was speaking about celebrity endorsements with fashion.
Something you're interested in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that weighed out my other things.
Change your mind? Like, okay, I'm not stupid, I'm just not interested.
Yes. I think I've gone on a journey to know that I'm not dumb. I just, when I'm interested in something, I know what I'm speaking about. So even with like presenting or speaking to other people, I'm not unaware. I know what I'm speaking about, but I'm speaking about something that I have knowledge of.
Yeah.
If I don't have knowledge of it, why am I talking?
I actually think it's actually a skill to have a focus like that.
Yeah.
Somebody said the other day that like it's not sometimes that people who, I don't know if you're neurodivergent or not, but it reminds me of people who are neurodivergent because it's kind of like it's not so much a problem, it's that your mind can be passionate about something, very passionate about something. And actually I think it's better sometimes to be able to be focused on one thing rather than someone whose mind can focus on a lot, because as you get further in life, you need to channel that passion. And you'll find that if you can't really get yourself excited about anything because you're kind of doing a lot of different things, and none of them you're really passionate about, it's really hard to be excellent at some point. You have to find what makes your heart sing. And some people take a whole lifetime to learn that because they can survive without it. And for some people, from the get, couldn't survive about things I don't care about. Honestly. Probably why you used to tune out, because you're like, I don't care.
Like, I don't. My attention span was so bad because that's why I had to stay after school, because in class, I could not listen to Save My Life. And it was just like, and even then, I think the only thing that helped me would be some of the people that were in that class, they would come to me afterwards and we would have sessions where I would teach them. And I'm like, why am I teaching you on something that you're probably going to get an A on? And then I'm going to get a B or a C on just because I was bad with exams and retention of memory, like information.
With presentation.
Yeah, which I didn't realize. I think I didn't realize I could talk for England, but I didn't realize that presenting and speaking, having conversation is where I thrived most of the time.
And it's a skill that a lot of British people don't thrive in, because when I went to America and the way they can speak, and then I came back with a kind of American ability, and I used to just go into pitch competitions and be like, I'm gonna win because you guys all hunched over, looking down at the ground,
Yeah.
mumbling.
Yeah,
It's
no,
terrible.
It's like-
give me my money.
no passion.
No, legit. I think
Yeah.
so many. If you know what you're passionate about, you're able to speak with conviction. But then a lot of people don't have, as you were saying, a lot of people just know a lot of things and they don't really have conviction about certain things. So I think with that, going into being in like school and things like that, I had conviction, but it's just like I had conviction about what I cared about. Anything else, I would work hard at it. I knew to work hard at it, but I didn't really know like, okay, you have passions for this thing and why and where it comes from and things like that. Being Nigerian and having a background in color and material and different things like that, I just realized that it was just like something that was my day to day, my everyday. It was like, oh, my mom's going to something on a Saturday. What's she wearing? You'll pick it out beforehand. And it's just like, okay, what eyeshadow is going to go with this? And it's just like, you're actually doing color theory. I think there's so many things that I didn't realize that it helped me when it came to fashion design. So I wanted to go into fashion design. And then at secondary school, no one's really, it's closed. It's like, what are you really doing? So it's like there was textiles and it got cut because my school was getting sold at the same time and changing from, like they changed from just a regular, I guess, public school to an ARC public school. So it was being sold. And a lot of them were happening around that time when we were like, yeah, it was,
really
no, legit with schools. So it was changing and transitioning. So a lot of things like DT that we had, textiles, music, and it was cut. And music was still there. It wasn't as great though. Drama was still there. It wasn't as great though, because some of our facilities were on land that was no longer ours. So it was just like there was a lot of things that just didn't really frame where I needed to be. And then same with the careers advisor.
Is this the same school?
No, it wasn't the same school. It was just, I guess, what happened in multiple schools at the same time. So I think from there, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, I want to go into fashion. Where's like the next to go? So that we would have sessions with this guy, a random guy. I have not a clue where the man is from.
Liberian?
And no, he wasn't. Ours was a lady. It was like, honestly, they just used to bring it. It's like, and then he came in and I was like, I want to get into fashion. So then he, in front of me, a careers advisor in front of me, he was like, I have not a clue, but he Googled.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice. He was nice. He was
Friendly
nice.
GP, because the GPs be Googling.
Yeah. So he Googled in front of me and we went through a list of schools and I literally just went home and I was like, okay. Then my college came up and it was literally just like, I want to go there. One thing I do have is that the unction or like the conviction to go somewhere. A lot of convictions were very strong for me. It was like, I'm going there.
What does that feel like?
It feels impulse. Like I'm
You're like, that's the place for me,
it's
and
like
I
that's
need
the
to
place
go.
for me
Yeah.
and I need to be there. Whether I don't know if it's the logo, I don't know what it is, but it was literally just like, okay, it did. It did. It was, but for our fashion college, but it was just like, okay, I'm going there. And it was literally after that, I never looked back. So I finished GCSEs. I then went into the process. That process for me was really scary because again, I wasn't used to putting myself out there. And to be fair, I got my stuff, like my interview stuff really late. So I became resourceful. You know those boards on like your dad's desk or something that you see scribbles at, and I got mine so late that it was like the day before, and I literally stuck some pieces. I ripped up some magazines. I ripped up some magazines, stuck that to the board. No, legit.
It basically was.
And then I cut out, and I only had black and white ink in my house. I cut out. Listen, there was no color, none at all. So I literally cut those out, and then I got some lined paper and I wrote some stuff on. It was so funny because bless her, Janine, she was in my I love her. She was she was so one of our other lecturers at college, and she was at my interview, and she was literally just like, oh, this is like really good, but like other people had like fresh pieces of like A6 paper, and I was literally just like, I don't know, coloured and all of those things, and I had little doodles, annotations.
So what do you think it was?
For me,
that made you stand out.
Oh, I one thing I could not tell you.
It's the way you spoke, probably. It's probably how passionate you were. It was your time to...
Yeah. Do you know what, at that point, because I don't even know, I can't actually remember what had happened in that. I just know legit. And I remember afterwards like crying. I was like, I don't think I'm going to get in. It was just so I don't think I'm going to get in. I just don't know what I did. I don't know what I didn't do. And then once realizing that, okay, cool, that's out of the way, I've gotten to that interview. Not long after, I got the confirmation email, and I was like, oh my God, I was able to get in. And it was back to GCSEs, make sure that you pass to get the necessary grades to get in. So I literally scraped by with a C in maths, and they were like, do you want to redo it? I said, is that the C that I could use to get in? No, I will not be resitting for no reason. Listen, I will take my grades. So I think from there, it was still fashion design for me, or it was like fashion marketing-ish, social media. I wasn't really sure, to be fair. I just knew I wanted to be in fashion. So with my college section, that was a whole new world for me. it was like nothing I had ever seen. I was traveling for the first time without siblings. Like there's 5 of us, so there was always legit. And so I was just like, I didn't I didn't go with any of my friends. All of my friends, it is good, but it's also scary at the same time. It's also really uncomfortable. So some of my friends were still in sixth form, and they still had the
victory lap, or
what do you mean?
They said that in America where you do school again because you failed. Victory lap.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they were still in like sixth form and stuff like that. And I would go back sometimes and they'd be like, "What are you doing here?" Like some of my teachers would be like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing now?" I'm just like, again, that's where I learned that I'm not going to over-explain.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I'm not going to over-explain what I'm doing and why I left. I remember like actually going back. I remember getting into the college, and I went back for my grades, and one of my English teacher that was leaving, but I didn't know he was leaving at the time, was like, "Oh, you know, you should come back and stay here," and questioned my decision to get into like college. He was like, and he was like, he was like, "Oh yeah, but you have so much support here. You have like, you've been in the school for ages. Your siblings have gone here." So he was like, but that made me think. And if it wasn't for my mum, bless her, if it wasn't for my mum, I was in the car and she's like, "I'm so uneasy. Like, I don't know. It's familiar here, and I feel like I should stay." But she was like, "Did you get into the college?" I said, "Yeah." So she was like, "No, you're going. You're going." Exactly. And it's just like, what's he got to offer you that you can't go somewhere else? And she was one thing I would say is that she was one that championed me to like move on and go on. Going to college, I was challenged out of my mind. Oh my God. And I wasn't a marketing babe. I wasn't the analytics type of babe. I really wasn't. It was literally about the creatives for me, how everything would look. And I'm thinking about it now. It's just like, okay, there's a reason why I'm in branding, because I loved where everything told a story. So I think what one of my subjects was like, I remember I was saying this the other day, I did not get a merit for a thing. I got distinctions for every single thing. And it was literally just like because I challenged myself. So it was literally just like one of the things that I spoke about was Palace. Do you remember the brand Palace? And I did like a hypothetical, and it was like a skater brand.
Oh yes.
Yeah, with the triangle.
Yeah, they're in LA. I passed that. Beautiful stores.
Yeah. And I did a collaboration with them, like hypothetically for one of my stores, and we literally had to build the stores out of like styrofoam. And like and I literally did a denim collaboration with them and Skepta. I don't know what, and I had to create the pop up in the space.
Sometimes these are the best projects. Like, I went to fashion uni as well, and I did something similar. So and I was thinking the other day about that. I was like, damn, that was good, because I saw
it was good.
Similar the other day, and I was like, kind of like what I put together in uni.
Legit.
Crazy. Was your teacher like wild?
Yeah, like we had different lecturers at the time for different things, but a lot of them were like, "Oh, this is like amazing." Some people would look at my work and I'll just be like, "Oh yeah, like it's cool, like it's all right."
Because you're just doing what you do naturally now.
And it's just like I'm naturally doing something, so it made sense to me. And then after that, my final major project, and probably my favorite, it was called Motherland, and it was basically like off-shoulder, like Ankara, which is a material, like a Nigerian material, or African material, I should say. And it was literally chokers, things like that. And I made those from scratch. I used my mom's sewing machine, and I put those together. So I did end up sewing, So I put those together like in my thing, and I had like projects from it. Even like the hardest time of life, I feel like, was college. It was like so much was going on at that age where you're like an adult, you're not, kind of thing. And it was just like, I know one of my dreams was just, I'm gonna go to uni, and then after uni, no more further education. Because like in certain households, it's just like, oh yeah, go further, go for masters, go for. It's like, I'm not going to do all of that. Literally, my goal. I remember some of my conversations with some of my friends in secondary school. Was like, I just need to get to uni and I'm good. So after that, it was uni times, and it was literally just like I was going for interviews, I was going for different things, and it was so crazy. It's so crazy now thinking back at it, and I was literally just like, I don't really know what I'm going to do, whether it's digital marketing, whether it's marketing still, whether it's like promotion, whatever not. So after that, I went into uni, and that journey for me was a journey where I was literally just like, I needed it. I needed that theory journey where I was able to build and like figure out where I needed to be. And I think a lot of people don't see certain things as journeys that you need to evolve from. So I was coming from a place of, or a like mentality where it's just like, okay, this is going to benefit me to help me to do certain things. And it did, but it was also just I just needed the journey to grow. Because to be fair, me personally, I didn't want to go to uni. I just knew it was something that it was just like, I want, like, I just need to do. Yeah, it's just something I'm going to do. Again, like with these convictions.
In the morning, like, it's not that exciting, but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But it's just like, we had a thought came in. Like, I don't know.
And it's just like the process that I was just like, I was trying to battle between, okay, I already did something that was unconventional when it came to fashion in college.
Yes.
And then it was now like, okay, am I going to keep this unconventional route for everyone else, or am I just going to figure out what I'm going to do? So
What did you study in uni?
fashion marketing and promotion. So it was still a
Okay, so
fashion
for
course.
uni,
Yeah.
sorry,
But I was like, if I'm going to go to uni, I'm not going to go to uni for anything that people tell me. I'm going to go to uni for
Think you
something that
should.
fits with
Yeah.
me. So again, the same thing that happened. I saw my uni and I was like, okay, that's going to be my first choice. And then my
That's how
second
you
choice.
got bang a man.
Yes. Ooh.
You know,
And
what I
it-
mean? Like, she's got that
Right.
kind of, I called it. Bitch,
Right.
I like it. Like,
Listen,
like, as you looking over the room at me,
Yeah.
every time you go like, that's my thing. I just feel a little bit chosen.
I was like, it really is a
good
conviction.
energy though,
You know,
yeah.
It is,
Good
it is. And I think when you know, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that in these relationship terms, but I'm just like, when you know, you know.
It
You
applies to other things in life.
yeah, and
I
you
love
may
that.
not, and also with like a faith journey and things like that, you won't always have the end destination. You will most likely know the journey that you're going on, and when you see those things, the only thing you can do is accept to say yes.
This is it.
Yeah,
So I know, I really, really love that. So you, obviously you've gone to uni now. You're learning. What are the things that you picked up?
yeah. Like, okay, my critical thinking about storytelling is crazy. I remember I did that was my final major project. Okay, going back, I did Cold Laundry. Do you remember them being
Yeah, I
around?
do, yeah.
They were my favorite brand just because of the tones, the everything, the photography, everything. And I was literally just like, from their branding, I did one, and I did a collaboration, like a hypothetical collaboration with Stormzy, and it was about men's mental health. And at that point, I had to digitally create the space. So in college, I was creating the space out of like styrofoams and using cutting things and boards and things like that. But then when it came to uni, it was more like digital stuff. So I then created those, but I had to make sure that they was in collaboration with Mind. So it was like I had to pull everything in at the same time to make sure the event goes well, but then also the budget and everything else, the material for the certain things goes well, plus the clothing, plus the branding for the actual event. So I had to pull everything together to make sure that it tells a coherent story. I think my final major project was the most simplest thing I had ever and it was in COVID as well. So people are just like, oh yeah, push the bar. It's your final major project. It's something that you're going to do. And it was literally about stillness in the pandemic, with the collaboration with COS, the fashion brand. But that's it. They do, yeah, they do. So it was it was basically it was basically about them as a brand having very much so a minimal brand, but then also going into sharing other people's creative stories, artwork, architecture, all of those things. But then also the stillness of the fact that the world is going awry and we don't actually know what's going to go on and happening. And in this, we are still creatives that need to tell a story. So it was literally just stories about still images about, that was my campaign, still images about people's stories, their journeys, quotes, and everything else like that. So I created a whole campaign around that, but it was helping me to tell a story and make sure that it follows through in every single thing. So whether it be colors, whether it be placement, whether it be branding in itself, whether it be why the brand, the vision, the values, the mission, everything like that, for it to tell a full story. Because I feel like
no, finish your sentence.
yeah, no, I just feel like it was something that I was seeing half-baked stuff. And I was literally
I was literally just about to say,
yeah.
like, you really remind me of myself in the fact that I think this is very much like the creative mind. The reason why you're such a good storyteller is because, and the reason why maybe you can't pay attention sometimes as well, is when things stop making sense, my brain just starts to fritz. I don't know how to explain it. It's almost like I have to, it's painful to look, I want to look away, and I'm not interested in anymore. So when you have that, it's basically like a really good guidance system though, when you actually are in the thing that you're meant to do, because you just basically, have you ever seen that guy who's the creative director for I think it was Yeezy, and it's like, what do you do? And he's like, I have strong opinions. Like, basically that was it. It was like he doesn't make music, he does this, he does that, he doesn't like design, he just has strong opinions. And I think that's the thing about yours, like the way you're able to just look at something like COS and go, that's stillness, but then this is also where we are. This is our human story. It's how we can tell it through all these different elements. You're bringing all that synergy in. But similarly, if you're looking at brands where they haven't thought about that as a child or as a subject, where you're just sort of like, this isn't, this is sometimes where they talk about like a good teacher, when you're able to like reference things that you're from the past into something we're experiencing today, tell the full story, make it relevant. Why do we care? And I think as humans, you know, we need these stories to be told. And I think it's important, if anybody's listening and they're kind of like, I'm that person in school where like it just isn't making sense to me, at some point you can make the world make sense for someone else.
Legit.
So go
Yeah, no, for sure. And then uni time was just a time where I explored a lot. Like I explored on different things, even with life. Just trying new things. I remember I was scared of heights, and I was like, okay, I want to get over my fear of heights. I'm scared every time I go on a roller coaster. I will be shook. Just to be clear, like I will be scared.
What did you do?
but I would go on them. Like I would challenge myself.
Wow.
I would challenge myself and be like, okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to say I'm not going to go 500 times until I get to the beginning of the line or while I'm in it. No, take me out.
Will Smith. Like, you sound like Will Smith. He says crazy stuff like that. Like, I'll die on the treadmill. Like, bro, that's what I long at.
Yeah. Like, so it's just like, I would challenge myself a lot. And even in my mind, like my mind thinking, I was unlearning a lot of things to learn again.
Were you aware of what you're trying to unlearn? Or was it kind of like, oh, guess what we unlearned today?
I think I was aware because it was my faith journey a lot. I grew up in church and things like that. So it was like, if I'm unlearning what I feel like I knew, and also with the emotions that came along with those things.
How do you document that? How do you keep track of that?
I journaled a lot. Still holding on to the community that I had around at the time so they can actually remind me of some of the things that I had forgotten. But yeah, like I was unlearning a lot of things, even people pleasing. I was unlearning that because I also had my own time and time to do that in uni. I think that's one of the things that I will say is that I could recognize certain things because I had time to myself, for myself and things like that. So I was learning a lot of things for myself. So I would say my story was being evolving in that time.
So would you say for you, stillness and space is a luxury, maybe because you had 5 brothers and sisters?
That's
Sometimes
fine.
like time to yourself is not, it's a luxury.
Yeah.
So you really kind of deep that luxury and kind of took the time to do certain things. So I think it's really important to kind of bring those things out, like the journaling, the emotions as well, kind of journaling the emotions and the story. And I think the thing I like about it is sort of like, if something's worthwhile, you document it.
Right.
Like if you have a very precious thing, you document how to look after it, you document what you've learned.
Yeah.
If you really respect yourself and your mind and your life's journey, you'll take time to figure that out. I think a lot of us are so busy rushing. What I like about you is you have a real balance.
Yeah,
and
you do.
I think it's innate. You seem to have a real strong value. You feel like you're worth taking the time to perfect. And it wasn't because people told you that you were brilliant all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe your family did, maybe, I don't know, but at school, certainly it wasn't necessarily that.
Yeah.
Well, one guy thought you're too valuable to leave.
Right? Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I think that's just something that I think is very inspiring talking to you. I can feel the energy. And I think that also wild, challenging yourself to do stuff that you know that you're going to hate so that you can learn something about yourself. Like, how would you document the before and after of that? How you changed after doing something you know that you...
Do you know what it is? Sometimes in some things, I would realize it in that moment. And then I'll talk about it with someone. And then that would now be added onto my story that I tell.
So what's something that you learned in something crazy situation that you challenged yourself to do?
Okay, one thing I was learning again is to find my voice. So it's like I always had it, but then something I was learning was that it brings value to conversations. But I needed to have more conversations, therefore, to find out that it brought value, if that made sense. But being in my own bubble and my own space, I realized that I couldn't figure that out. And I think it was in uni that I realized if I'm passionate about something, then I'll be able to speak. Like, for example, when presenting to people, like to the class or my peers, or even sometimes they'll get brands to come in. While presenting to them, I realized in like my would I say second year? Maybe like the end of first year, I realized that if I knew what I was speaking about because I had done the necessary work, I would go in there confident with no qualms, no like anxiety. But then if I had not a clue and I was not prepared, I would just be like, I don't have a clue. I'll be shaking, stuttering, different things like that. And it's just like, now I realize that, okay,
set yourself up to win.
I can set myself up to win. I can be prepared for a
there's a
situation.
process.
Yeah, there's a process for me. I
Do
don't
you
know
have
how it looks for
processes
other
in life
people.
as well? Like
Yes.
Day to day, okay, so let's talk.
Operations and systems, especially being a business owner now and actually not wanting to be there. Because a lot of people tell the story of, I just quit my 9-to-5 job. I just couldn't do it anymore. I was always a rebel from young. And I was like, I may have been a rebel from young, but it wasn't my goal to be like, okay, cool, I want to own my own business. It was, I would work for somebody and I wouldn't mind. I just want to be a fashion girly that works well at her job. Yes, I'm an asset. And do you know what I mean? So that I was one of those, but then coming out of uni and not having the same experiences that other people may have had. So challenging myself, which is so crazy now that I think about it. I was challenging myself, but I didn't know why. But then coming out of uni and just wanting to go and conform, and I'm just like, okay, I didn't make myself that uncomfortable. Now I'm literally, as we're speaking, I'm currently deeping this, but like as going exactly challenging myself, and then coming out of uni and wanting to go back into the norm made no sense makes no sense to me now. But at the time, I was literally just like, I don't know what's
I don't
happening.
fit through this door.
Yeah.
Basically, you
Yeah.
stretch your muscles. Now,
Yeah.
spiritually, you're wrecked out.
I was
Trying
like-
to get through the same door.
like-
and it's like, what are you doing?
Surely this should be easy because I've done all of the work
Yeah.
that's necessary to get through
That
the door. And it's just like,
society told you.
exactly. And it's like,
Yeah.
now, okay, the door isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
I have to find another door, find another way out and figure that out. So now, especially when it comes to what I'm forever challenging myself, I'm learning something new every single day. But I have to also now match it up with, it's worth it. You can share it now.
Yeah.
You can share it and you can be confident about what you know.
So why New Money for you?
Yeah.
Like,
Listen, community, I feel like is so important. And my community was really late. Like, I think I knew people when I was younger, but I didn't get into deep community up until, I would say, get into uni. My sister was my 5 friends. I'll call her up and just be like, I
that
need this
5
one.
guys.
No, it's just, no, legit. And it was just like, I just need her to like speak to me in different ways. But it's just
Yeah.
like, actually, I need community for this. Because,
she's the one who reminds you of what happened. 'Cause my sister's like that for me. I'm like, she's like, this happened. I was like,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
I have
She's
bad
the one
memory.
that's just like, this is what happened. I have bad memory
Yeah.
too. It's just, no, it's so bad. But you need someone there that knows different versions of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I can't remember what I say now.
New money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, new money. Community is so important. And I love the fact that I can for years, like me and her will have powwows in the corridor. Because we weren't in the
yeah.
same class at first. So we'll have powwows in the corridor, like,
Stormzy, like
we can do
yeah,
this.
like we can do this, we can
Like,
got it.
it's-
So it's
yeah.
just like,
imagine.
exactly.
And
So it's
other
just,
corridor dramas.
yeah, stop it. But yeah, like we would go back and forth and we'll just be like,
Yeah.
oh, like we can do this. I think I talked her down. Let's not even talk about the situation. But like there were so many situations where I would just be like,
Oh,
okay, I
wow.
know that I need
Yeah.
to be there for someone else. I knew how to
Yeah.
serve really well, but I don't think I knew how to accept
yourself.
it. Yeah, serve myself or accept it from other people. So now I'm just like, okay, if I can learn something from somebody else, why would I have to struggle through it? I think
So-
Yeah.
how did you end up in your own business then? Because
so. It was like, okay, I came out and I was going to interviews back to back to back to back, but I was freelancing at the end of university.
Yeah.
So
your
I
projects were a little bit too
yeah,
good. You're like,
yeah,
I can do
yeah.
this.
I was like, I can do this. And like, so I went into website design first.
Yeah.
And then I was doing graphic design for people just because I had the eye for it. So I was like, I might as well. And then I also had an internship to do like run people's social media for a concierge company I did for about 3 years. So I did that.
Was that whilst you were in uni?
Yeah, whilst I was in
you
uni.
to do that? Because a lot of the time when I'm on like TikTok and I'm speaking to my young creatives, I always say it's important to be proactive because they come out of uni thinking
Right.
they're going to get a job,
Yeah,
but they've got nothing on their CV.
absolutely
But
nothing.
the ones who do get the jobs were freelancing or did a
Yeah.
project here. What made you do that? Like, how did you come up with that?
I think I would say my uni was good for that. But then I also realized that uni at the time was not giving me any leads.
Yeah.
Not a lead for anything. And while I appreciate that I was in uni for a period of time and I need to be on that journey, they could have done better with giving you opportunities,
It's-
especially
to build your
opportunities to people that look like me.
portfolio and-
Yeah, no.
So it was just like-
100%.
yeah.
Also, it's a bit. I don't know how you felt, but I felt like it was a bit boring. Like I felt like I've got all this time and a student loan and a maintenance grant, so
Legit.
I don't have. I'm working, but I've got time.
Mhm.
I just felt like it was logical to start business.
Yeah, like
It's kinda like
yeah, you have to you have to do
make
something.
money.
Right, because like how are you going to? And then I stayed in
Yeah.
London, so I was like in Wembley Harrow situation. So it wasn't even like
Locations.
exactly, and it wasn't even
Yeah.
like it was like so much money. I came from old
Yeah.
money. It was literally just
Yeah.
like I had to make sure that I had money to look after myself. Things
So
like
I feel
that.
like, would you
Yeah,
say the
new
new
money.
money. That sounds from the two of you
Yeah.
story. The new money mindset kind of is that kind of like
Yeah,
grabbing opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Learning new things, being ready to
Mm.
move. I think you have to. If you're going to be new money, assume you're not coming from money. There has to be
Yes.
some movement.
There
So
has
you
to
need
be.
to stay brand new. Keep
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
Moving.
You know,
Even
get
if-
comfortable with that.
Yeah, even if
Yeah.
it's in mindsets, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't one to put myself out there. A lot of my friends would say, "Oh, put yourself out there because you're really good at what you." But I couldn't
Yeah.
see what I was good at because I was still stretching myself a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I felt like if I had gone and emailed the brands and messaged the brands, sometimes I did, but maybe it was too late. It was just like I didn't put myself out there enough because I didn't believe what I had was added value in certain ways. When actually it did. When I would speak to my friends and they would just be like, "Oh, even if it," because some of my friends now are still like, "You do so much," and it's like, yeah, I can style you. I can also maybe help you sew a little, just tiny bit. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I can help you do something. I could talk about color theory. I can make sure I can put your brand together today.
Already a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just like I can do a lot of stuff, and it was just like, okay, so getting into graphic design, if I can do it, why not pull on it? Why not?
How do you deal with? This is a question that I think really a lot of people will in your position, your skill set, how do you deal with the whole jack of all trades, master of none kind of like
And burnout.
diss that people love to tell you?
Burnout.
Because it's kind of like, if you're so good at all those different things, do you find it hard to be excellent at all of them? Do you feel sometimes that people sometimes devalued you because there's not one specific thing that you're, there's so many things that you're looking at. So like, how do you feel about that statement?
Do you know, I don't know if it fully applies to me, and I wouldn't even try and take it on, because the things that I did in a period of time. I just didn't drop them. So I had timing for each one. So I had fashion design, I had styling, I had maybe visual merchandising that I want to get into, but they all taught me different things. They didn't teach me the same thing.
So do you keep them going at once? Did you kind of like learn something? That's what that is.
I learned something and I dropped it along the way.
Okay.
It's when I needed to make money that I was like, I'm pulling on all my reserves.
Okay.
I'm pulling on everything that I know that I'm going to put out there. So that's why I would say I went into photography and videography, and I kept those on my services as a freelancer. So I literally tapped into everything. But now as a business owner, I'm just like, I've learned that burnout is quick to happen when you tap on everything and try to do everything and be everything for everyone.
So what do you focus on now?
So now I love branding. So I think that's my truest love. I think that's my main thing.
That's your main thing.
Yeah, that's my main thing. So that's reasons being why my whole company is surrounded around it in the first place.
So you were applying for all these. No, you were going to uni and you had basically this big bank of experience from freelancing, and then when it came time to get a job, drum roll, did you
Nothing.
get one?
No, I got something.
Okay.
But the brand couldn't stay open because COVID.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You guys, it's from a millennial's perspective. Like obviously COVID affected us, but like hearing how
partying,
you didn't get messed up big time. Not big
Stop
time.
it. She's
big time. I couldn't go clubbing anymore. I feel like I missed that whole thing.
Do you know what? Yeah.
It's true
And then I
though.
came out a mature.
Yeah.
You
can still club.
Yeah.
And
You can
it's just
still
like,
club.
no, but I don't like to now. It's a waste of my time.
But that's up to you.
Yeah.
I missed out when I was ready and I was 18.
You hear
I
my
was
COVID
fresh.
story, you're gonna shed a tear.
I know your COVID
Yeah,
story
yeah.
already.
Shed a tear.
So
Listen.
Not only that, but I went into COVID 29 and came out like 33. That's rude.
No, very much so.
Imagine being 20 something, coming out 30 something. You got no parties to show for it. It sucks.
No, it's true. It's so true. It's so
Sucks.
true.
I was like, this is awful. So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically
yeah.
you couldn't get any jobs because it was COVID.
Yes. Okay. So I came out.
I didn't know if I don't know how long you had left.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So literally, I came out and I was applying everywhere for everything, from retail to anything. Literally everywhere. I was tapping on anything. I got quite a couple of interviews. But again, this is something I realized about myself afterwards. When they would say, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" The thing that will come to my mind is not here.
Yeah.
I will help you build your brand.
Face says everything.
Yeah.
So
My
they're
face
really like,
is literally
right?
it's a canvas
setup
for all things.
question.
Yeah. And it's just like I would say things for their brand that I could see that they could probably work on. So I would go into the interview being like, okay, cool, I can help and I would assist here, here, and here because I know in your branding this is you need some help. But it's just be like, okay, so I would go in there. So 5 years, I couldn't answer that question. And I felt so like, why couldn't you answer the question? Because you knew the things. So I was literally just like, oh, okay. So I know I applied to different things. I was still freelancing the whole time. So I applied, got one, let go because couldn't stay open because of the brand and money and COVID and things like that. And then, which I would have loved there, to be fair. And then I got into another one to be a digital marketing for a realtor company or something like that. And that didn't pass my probation, to be fair, because they had no clue what they were doing, bless their hearts. So I did let go of that because I asked for things for branding, but they really didn't give it to me. And then I realized that they rebranded afterwards, so I wasn't really the issue. But I would take accountability that my lack of communication with certain things, I guess, couldn't. Whatever. Anyway, so no, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I just think there were so many things that were off with that, and again, that was a startup. So I'm not. It's not my story with startups aren't really the same, but like it's just not. It's not that. But
they
then
can be toxic.
Yeah, it can be.
Sometimes learning about yourself. Also, like get out.
Yeah, I encountered a lot of
times. Get the resources and jump.
Jump be mad.
Listen, out. Skip. I think I encountered a lot of startups, and it was just like, okay, so are we just gonna move on now? So eventually, I was still freelancing, and someone was like, okay, you need to be a registered company or have a UTR number to work with us.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I hate that.
and I was literally just like, I'm at a crossroad. What am I gonna do? is this I'm unlearning to learn, or am I going to go and apply again? Then it was just like something, again, another unction was literally just like, okay, apply. I felt like I was being forced to do it though, because I was conditioned so much so to be like, I'm going to have that fashion job. I'm going to have that fashion job and I'm going to work a 9 to 5. So my mind was literally saying, this is where you need to be. And the feeling, this is the first time I had gone against the feeling. Because I was literally just like, my conditioning though is, my conditioning. No, this is like word. My conditioning was literally just like, it's so strong. You need to be in that 9 to 5 for stability, money for different things. You need to make sure that you can help your family out with different things if they need help. You need to make sure that you can be present in certain places in certain times. And all I've heard from business owners is just like, oh yeah, like you're a boss babe, but you have to go through the ringer. And I was like, I don't know if I'm set up anymore for the ringer because my life. Yeah, listen, listen, I'm not your soldier. I'm not your best soldier. Please leave me out of the race. Soft life.
Soft life is actually kind of sometimes mid toxic as well. Because sometimes it makes you feel like if you are working, if you are doing something, if you are 9 to 5, or if you're running a business, you're not. I don't know. You're not relaxing. Yeah. So, with that being said, it really is. Listen. And so many, and I think social media doesn't help with that at all. So it was just like what I was seeing from my friends was that they were getting jobs. They could move and hop and skip to different jobs. And it was like, again, I'm out of waters. And it was just like, I felt like, okay, my convictions, they were so strong in college, got there, and I had to do certain things, got to uni, and my conviction was strong there. And it's just like, okay, I had to go through the ringer. But then at this point, I was like, okay, so I've gone through those. I shouldn't have to go through this as well. But it was like, when did God tell me the cycle was going to change? I really don't understand where I felt like it was going to come easier or like I'm just going to get what I want. It's like, we all have this feeling of graduation comes with graduating.
Right.
And, I think that there's something that the world sets up these false landmarks.
Yeah.
And these false checkpoints where
so
feel
false.
like you get through them and everybody will hand you your little packet, but the packet's bullshit. If the packet doesn't match up with what you want in life, it's actually bullshit.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when you graduate from uni and then the idea is that you're going to need to get a job, if that doesn't match with what your inner feeling is saying, then I heard the other day I was listening to something and someone said your pay packet is what they give you because they know that you don't want to do this. So like that's your compensation. So sometimes, I mean, obviously if you have a job and you love what you do, great. But sometimes, and for a lot of people, it actually does go against their gut instinct, what they know they can be. And so I think, and some people, I think our stories are similar in this way. I'm unhireable. I can't get, listen, it comes to a point where it's like, it's exactly the 5-year question as well. People can read that, like, she's not going to stay. And in my head, I'm like, no, I really would.
I would. No, I would.
Not coming across
I just think that, like, no, you wouldn't. I just think that, like, because I think sometimes when you do have all those different things going for you, you sit in the room and you're telling people that you can do this, they know the position they're going to give you over the growth that they don't really have room for you to move like that in the company, especially at your age. So they're probably just thinking this is going to be a hard person to manage, because a lot of people who are hiring in are trying to stay comfortable. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want somebody telling them and making them look bad at their job. You know what I mean? So sometimes it's kind of like, we're not ready to go like that. You're going to show me up actually, and it's a no. And sometimes it's not necessarily there's something wrong with you. It's just kind of like the value that you're adding needs to be in a company. Maybe that's going to have to be your own company. So how many times did you bang your head against the wall till you finally like passed out into your own business?
Listen, it didn't take long because money I have to make.
Right.
It didn't take long. However, the internal battle took 2 years because I was like, okay, year of business, cute. No. At the end of that, there was more lessons to learn. And then I had to unlearn a lot of things about myself. After being fired, I think I went, those 3 weeks after being fired, I was literally just like, I went through an internal battle. I was just like, okay, what am I going to do next? This is where I thought I was going to stay at least for a period of time. After the first one, I was like, okay, cool, I got a second one. Now I'm going to stay here. And it was literally like an internal battle for 3 weeks. And I was literally just like, I'm going to journal, I'm going to cry, I'm going to pray. I'm going to pick myself up and move on.
This is an interesting point though, because a lot of people come to those parts in their lives where there's some forced pivot. So if you're honest to yourself, you kind of knew that this isn't where you're going to want to stay. But to be fair, now it's forced. Because I think that sometimes that's, especially like, whether you're religious or not, but the same theory kind of applies where it's just sort of like, if you imagine you're praying for something in your head, you're saying, there's this version. This is what happens a lot. You have this thing when you're in uni, you're doing really well, you create these presentations, there's a version of you where you're being the greatest and best version of yourself. You have now birthed a new prayer, a new version of yourself. Your soul has an imprint of how that feels. But whether or not your faith has caught up with that. So sometimes you step back out and you're like, but I'm willing to just take a job. Please, Lord. Please, Lord. I'm willing to take a job. I'm humble. Stay humble. But you know what? Yeah, the universe, God knows, like, no, you have your mind. Like, you know, you don't always have to ask. Like, asking is given. So you don't necessarily have to, like, be writing it down and beg it. Sometimes your soul has asked and it's going to give you the answer. So you might as well just kind of, like, have your little pity party when things go wrong. Because
but pick yourself up.
This is where you're going. You set the destination.
Yeah, I had to grow up. Those 2 years I had to grow up. And even now as I'm sitting here, I'm literally just like, I have to put on my big girl pants and I have to do what I need to do, because at this point I'm on a journey. And if people don't get it, and I still get the questions like, oh yeah, how are you for money? Like, how's it going? Like,
money, like,
do you know, maybe you should have just applied to everywhere. As I can tell you, it's just, I think people have this mindset of where you need to be, again, society, where you need to be, what you need to do, where you need to go. And it was literally just like, for me, it was literally like, okay, am I going to make up my mind because I know that I have a conviction about it already? So it's just like, am I going to make up my mind and stick to it? Or am I going to allow people to say the things? So going back to college, or just getting into college, and the guy was like, oh, but you have safety here. And I was like, okay, there's a pattern though.
Sounds like the devil.
Do you know what I mean?
He doesn't even sound like the devil. He sounds like somebody insecure. And
like, do you know what I mean? And it's just
everything.
And it's just like, and it's
literally
some people are just, like, legit. And I was like, I don't know if I would have stayed in secondary school based off of what he said. I don't know where I would be.
I mean,
and to be frank,
you'd be a janitor.
Like, I would be like,
you're waving a version of yourself.
Legit. And I would just be like, okay, now I'm just like, okay, I'm on a journey. And because I keep saying yes, like I always say, I think I said to you guys already, and I was like, new money is another yes for me. So it's just like, I'm so used to saying no because of inadequacy, but it's just like, you can just say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things, or things that are wrong for you.
Let's speak. How do we life audit? How do we know what's right, what's wrong? How do you keep track of that? Because some people don't even pay attention and know. You seem to have a very clear idea about what aligns with your goals, what doesn't. Do you have do you have a 5-year plan? Like,
that's what I'm saying. I didn't, because I had a 5-year plan, but that was a conditioned 5-year plan.
So what's your new one? Do you have
after my world turned upside down and my 5-year plan went into the flames, I don't have one.
Are you okay with that?
My 5-year plan is that I'm going to say yes to the things that I'm going to say yes to, and I'm going to say no to the things I say no to in life, just in general, across the board. And if I need to, and ultimately that comes with evolution. If I say yes to certain things, it's going to push me into an uncomfortable situation where I have to unlearn to learn again, and I'll be fine with that because I've done it all my life. Does that make sense?
So it makes a lot of sense. For your age, this is very advanced. Like, to be honest with you, people live their whole life and die still not learning this. There's a lot of people who would say, oh, you know, I always meant to do that. You see that person did that. I see you had that idea. A lot of people have these, you know, graveyard dreams that never really happened. And I think for you, you've got a lot of things that I would just say that I find super inspiring is that you have faith in the journey, just the journey. Like, almost like, we know that ultimately I'm going to become a diamond. So any bit of buffing and polishing is going to become a diamond. So I'm happy to accept it. Like, I'm happy to be crafted and formed in this version of this elite self that I'm getting pulled towards, which I think is really great. But I also feel like having that freedom that the journey and the path may go where it goes is something that a lot of people really aren't cool with. They would never be. A lot of people are not okay with going, I don't know. And what I do know is the feeling though, because I think that that's the thing, you know, I very much believe that you manifest through feeling. Thoughts become feelings, become impulses, become things, and that is actually how you manifest things. I've literally experienced that so many times, but a lot of people don't realize that because they're used to being taught that you have to like pain is gain. If it doesn't hurt, it's not going to work.
I had to work myself out of that. That's something I had to unlearn to learn again, to make sure that, you know what, if something isn't, I don't want to say serving you because I hate that. If it isn't that,
if it's not eating,
if it's not stuff, if it's not giving it really isn't, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine to say, you know what.
But this is really great.
Especially
as a woman. Because there's so many things. Like, okay, like in general, if something is that pain is gain, who told you that? And did the person who told you that perhaps benefit from you being in pain? You know, are they companies that need you to work for low wages? Is it people who need you to subscribe to a patriarchy where you don't really ask much to take waves? Is it, you know, what is it? And I think for a woman, there's loads of things that we get conditioned and told, and there's stages of conditioning, whether it's like, whether you're a mum, you've got to be like mum of the year, wonder mum, and kind of sacrifice yourself for your children. You have that point where it's like, but I'm not happy. We're now saying that personal happiness matters, whether it's your money, giving away money to everybody who needs it, and you think to yourself like, I'm not personally wealthy. We're now saying that personal wealth matters, and then whether it's just basically the calling of your soul, goal
Yeah.
versus career, and whether or not that makes sense with the linear journey. Just
Exactly.
saying like, hey, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Like that is something that we're just really learning, and it's something that is exactly what New Money is about. Like
For
you have
sure.
literally described the exact energy of which we're talking about, and it's just basically like we're trying to create something new here.
Yeah.
We're trying to create our own life experience. We're
Yeah.
trying to go from places that people didn't think we were meant to be into places that we see ourselves in.
Yeah.
And so, listen, myself is this is it. This is what I always say to my sister. We talk. It's like know your role. People say like, what is New Money? New Money is basically you weren't born in the building. You weren't born in the building. We can see the building where the parties are happening, where the money is, where the cocktails are going. But you weren't born in the building. Now, a lot of people say to you that how can you know about such fine things if you're not from fine things? And I always say, like a Dickens novel, the children who are outside the bakery looking at the sweets they can never afford can imagine the taste of the bakery.
Right.
Those outside the club always want to get
Yeah.
it.
Right.
They can picture they're picturing it probably better than it is on the inside, right?
Yeah.
And that's why when they get in, they create the most amazing experiences.
Right.
It's very much like that's why we're such great creative people. But furthermore, so the point is, you're literally outside of the club. Okay, your name is not on the guest list. What that
Nowhere
means is
near.
how you gonna get in. The way you're gonna
This
get
picture
in,
is crazy for me.
it's gonna be. So it's amazing. You say, how are you gonna get in, right? And then he's like, God help me. And now listen, the way you're gonna get in, it's not gonna be just walk through the door because your name ain't on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So stop following paths that weren't made for you.
Right.
Exactly.
Maybe
You're
your
lining
way
up.
is you're gonna have to work
Stop
as a
lining up.
doorman,
It's not lining up.
Right.
change costumes,
Yeah.
Listen.
go around the back.
go around the
Listen.
Maybe you have to break a window. Maybe you have to climb through. Like
No,
maybe you're
really.
painting the
Right.
building, then you just freaking stay for the party. Like
Yeah.
you might have to do some other things.
You will.
That's okay
Yeah.
because ultimately we have to get in. We
Yeah.
have, you know, so ultimately the dream is the fine thing.
Yeah.
And however I have to do it, I have to do it. And the reason why conventional methods don't work for unconventional people, unconventional places, is because you are not from that place. If you want to get to that place, your journey is going to be different. So stop listening to things that were not written for you. Okay? It's not straight line for you to exist in those spaces. So now you crafted a life where, you know, you're in charge of your own income, you steer your own ship, and you're able to say yes to the things that you want to say yes to, and life is just building and getting better and getting better. What is 3 things that you would say to your younger self or somebody like you?
I would say listen to yourself. Do, because that's something that I'm doing now. That listen to yourself is one, but it's like you can accept the feeling, but if you don't do, it's one of those things that you can stay in limbo. So it's like staying in limbo for too long, then create stagnancy. And at that point, you're not going forward.
The
Or
worst
you're not.
feeling as well.
It's
like
the
keep
worst.
betraying yourself. It's
Yeah,
like, oh, I am a loser then, isn't it? Because it's like I know what to do.
you have to start
It's
agreeing with
a very
things.
horrible feeling.
Yeah, you start agreeing with things that are not you at all. So I would say listen to yourself, and I would then say do. So do, but then I would also say it's okay. These are 3 short things because it's just like it's okay. If you feel like you're conditioned to be in something, that conditioning isn't your fault, but it's your responsibility to leave.
So what you would say then is analyze the obstacle.
Right.
Listen, do. Oh wait, there's something in the way. What is that thinking?
Yeah.
Then maybe remove that thinking, challenge that thinking, do something that scares you or whatever,
Yeah.
and then come back to the doing. The
Yeah.
thing and the doing.
And
That's
it,
really
I like
great.
that you said
It's
it's,
a-
okay.
yeah,
'cause
it's assurance.
It's
It's
in the
okay.
wellness kind of pillar that we're talking about.
And I
like,
love it. And ask any of
Yeah.
my uni friends.
it is
All
okay,
my
yeah.
all my stuff were on wellness.
yeah,
All of my stuff were on wellness because I was like, if you aren't well,
yeah,
trying to listen to yourself will be difficult. Trying to
Yeah.
do would be difficult.
exactly.
So you're in this place where you're serving other people, but you're not okay.
yeah.
And if you're not okay, and there's certain things within you're not okay.
Yeah, take time.
Take time. It's okay. It's okay just to
Yeah.
sit for a second. It's okay to take that break.
But progress, figuring out what the obstacle is progress.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you know, sometimes I'll do something, and you know there'll be a resistance, and I'm
Mhm.
like, what is that?
Yeah.
You know, and I might realize like, oh, that's a limiting belief about money that I've had.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you write it down, and now you're aware of it. You're not
Yeah.
bringing it in, and sometimes things come back again. Like I think that's what's scary. Like, I thought I conquered
Yeah.
this, and then
Yeah.
that can kind of come back when the same challenges present themselves.
Right.
So it's a consistent journey.
It
Sometimes
is.
you don't.
Yeah.
I always think of things like a spiral. It's like
Yeah.
you're going through the same points on a higher or lower level.
Lower. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to just keep going.
We keep
up,
going
you know what
up,
I mean?
yeah.
Like if you have money, is always going to be a conversation.
Always.
Different conversation about money
Mhm.
though. You know, friends, people, listen to people, not listen. It's the same. It's the same things that
Yeah.
we go through over and over again in
Yeah.
life. And you know, the next challenge as you get older, you know, you become a mum, or when you have, you know, different things. So about menopause, there's so many different things that women go through where it's sort of like, okay, now prioritize yourself. Good luck. You know what I mean? Like sometimes prioritizing yourself through menopause is just the room's gonna be freezing cold. I remember my Nana would be like, Nana, we're freezing. She's like, shut up.
It's so true.
It's
so
like,
true.
I should just sit in the cold room by myself. But like, you know, I will be like that. I definitely will be. I'll be like, listen, prioritizing me, bro.
I think
I'm hot.
if you learn the lesson, you'll be able to apply it in different age, different stages, different areas. Because I realized I was learning the same lesson again, as you're saying, but on a higher level. So I was just learning it later on in life, and then also when it comes to really learning it so that you can implement it. Again, that's why I say listen, do, because if once you can learn it but then not implement anything about it.
The stillness to listen, because I think for a lot of people whose minds race, that's quite difficult.
Yeah, like I was an overthinker. I wouldn't say I am right now, because I'm trying to, words
like
matter.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I was I was an overthinker, and I also dealt with a lot of anxiety as well. So I would definitely say my faith helped me, because I was like, okay, I don't have so much. It's not all about my abilities, because I fall short. I'm a human being.
There's a gap. That
It's like God is going to. He has already, because He knows where I'm gonna be. So it's like He has already. So it's just one of those things where, you know what, He's got it sorted. I just need to do what I need to do in this moment, because I'm thinking so lofty outside myself that I'm just like, I need to get there. But it's just like, you can't get there until you sorted these things out. So why don't you just do what you can do in your limiting things as a human being? Do what you can do, and you will see how that works out in the first place.
The spiritual community calls that their 20-80. So basically you do 20%, and God comes through with the 80, or the universe comes through with the 80. Or sometimes what you can do as an exercise is you write down, you've got all these things you want to do. You write down on one side of the page what you can do today or whatever. Maybe something like go to the bank, write an email, and then you write down all the things that the universe or God will do, manifest. And so basically what you find sometimes is the faith to write those things down on the side of the thing that you can't do, but you know that's there. You just understand that something bigger than you is working on it. Is enough for you to feel like it's parked, it's done, my mind can kind of rest. And oftentimes what you'll find is, and I've seen magic happen. I've seen things that it's sort of like, but now, in fact, we've been experiencing it with new money. We're thinking, oh, we want to reach out to somebody, and then the person messages me, and I'm just like, or they'll look at your page and they'll be like messaging you or liking your post. And you're like,
brand.
It seems like I mean, great. And I think that when you experience those synergies in life, you stop struggling, not because you're lazy, but because you just realize that, oh, the futile efforts of mice and men, bro, like the futile efforts of human beings struggling, making phone calls when you can be called.
Which one
do you want? You could do both.
We're not chasing, we're attracting.
You can chase, you could attract. So I really love that.
I think you have to listen to those convictions, because if it's time for you to do, there's a reason that later on down the line someone will call you versus you, because at this point you didn't stay at your first apprenticeship to say, okay, so then someone can actually call you now today and be like, oh, okay, like I see you, I want to call you or message you, and it's like in your mind you're thinking, oh yeah, I kind of want to call them, and it's like you don't actually have to, because you built your personal brand, you built yourself, you did too, you built businesses, and you've just so people are going to call you. So it's ultimately the same thing that I'm thinking of now, and it's just like, you know what, if you, instead of trying to call and chase for the things that are out of your control, those things are going to happen in the first place. You just need to do what you need to do.
Be ready
to
be ready.
Be ready to be ready. Yeah, be prepared.
Have your shoes on to get. Like, remember when I was a kid and my dad would be like, gonna go somewhere fun, and my mum would be going somewhere fun. You know, you want to be like near the door and ready in case you know what I mean? Like, you'll be sitting on the stairs like, ready for the excursion. Like, I love that. And one other thing that I wanted to pull out of your story, before when you said it twice now. So I think that when you were talking about how in presentations, if you don't know what you're saying, you get kind of nervous. But then if you know what you're about, then you find that you're actually really good at excelling. I thought to myself, this is a really good technique for somebody who experiences anxiety. But because you're actually quite a strong person, and you speak strongly about yourself, you don't really always frame your challenges. You don't give them labels. I've noticed, like, you know, like a lot of people go like, that sounds like ADHD, that sounds like anxiety, that sounds like this. But you don't really do that. You just say, I've realized this about myself, and so I do this to rectify it. So then when you said later on that sometimes you have experienced anxiety, I thought that it was really good to just pull out the fact that you do kind of work. Anxiety is sometimes good in a way, because you just know what really stresses you out and how to kind of appease that. But you're building these systems of, you know, how you would prefer to present yourself, and you try to create more of those scenarios for you to excel. So what sort of things do you kind of create in your life to excel on a day-to-day basis? Like, you know, Do you have meditative
Ooh.
processes? Do you pray? Do you like, you know,
Okay.
what is it?
I pray, do devotionals, and I read books a lot as well now. I never used to be a big reader, to be fair. But now I pray daily. I make sure that I am very much so like having the time with God, and it's necessary for me. I also journal my feelings out. I've found a way to dump it. And then take on. I also pray after journaling as well, just because it's just like,
Close
okay,
it,
yeah.
energy.
So I'm dumping, but then what I need to do is I need to make sure that I use the word of God, and I'm making sure that I'm actually empowering myself. So that's why empowering is so important, because I feel like if you just drop the things, it's most likely because you're comfortable, you're going to go back and pick them up. But you need something else to pick up, to take on your way, to make sure that that's going to equip you for the next.
So every
that
time
you're
you
going.
leave your house, you are already leveled.
Yeah,
So you set your levels.
yeah.
If you have a moment where a day that you haven't set your levels, will you just call in late and say, I got to set my, like, it's not.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, to be fair, I work from home, so it's like I don't leave the house much. But when I leave the house, like I was playing music before I came. I was listening to music. I made sure that I do my devotionals. This is why I have to do them every day, because like no matter if I'm leaving the house, then I'm fine. If I'm not leaving the house, I'm also still fine, because the things that can come in your house and you're just like, okay, cool, and that's fine as well. So I think I do a lot of those things. But then with business, I make sure that I set systems and operations. Shouts out to my sister, because before I was like, I'm a creative, I'm up in the air, I can just feel my way through the day, and I was like, that was never gonna work for you at all. And I was literally just like, the mundane stuff helped me. So me having systems to know I have admin in this day, making sure that I have this time, and I make sure that I set this time, I have my calendar mapped out, and make sure that I can do all the things that I need to do, so that with my creativity, when it comes, I can.
You're ready to,
I
like,
can. I'm prepared to enjoy it, because I know that I have all of the systems set up for me.
Because I feel like, you know, a few things, like if you imagine you're dating yourself, you're dating someone, and then they remember that she likes Coca-Cola, they remember that she doesn't sleep well, so I bought this extra pillow. You should treat yourself like that. Like, what do you like? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel comfortable? And how much of those things can we implement in the day? Because I think a lot of people just walk around discombobulated, and that's why they're kind of sparking everywhere. It's because they haven't really paid attention to what makes them feel safe, what makes them feel good. So I feel like you've got those mindful practices. I love that, because another thing, I love Abraham Hicks, one of the things that she says is that what sometimes you will so upset that people are bringing, you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. But the whole point of like things like prayer or meditation or whatever you use to be mindful is that she goes, your goat was gettable. So basically what she says is, if you do not do these things, it's like you just left your goat out to be got. And that's why your goat got. You know, you had it got your goat, like basically. And she's just like, lock up your goat. Like that's just literally like, do your mental fortitude situation so that your everything isn't just out here sparking everywhere. And that you have those things that even if somebody does act a certain way, you're just not on that vibe. You're just not, you're not feeling all kinds of ways. And I think that that's something, if you can learn that from young, and I think that church is a religion can be a really good way to build those structures in. Learn that from young and bring it into later. It can kind of help you take those deep breaths, whatever it is. You know, these are things that people are learning in various different ways, whatever you want to call it. It's the same techniques: deep breaths, silence, stillness, mindfulness, writing, journals, devotionals, whatever it is. So important to kind of like stay balanced. And then what happens is you present yourself to me, who just met you, as a very balanced person with boundaries, who seems to be very comfortable with themselves.
And also have those places where you are maybe that chaotic.
You got a scream room.
Have those people, have those spaces. That's why I say community, making sure that you can have those spaces where you can
Sisters
just come in and shout. Sisters do help.
Or New Money Crew.
You can say we don't mind.
Keep it here. Don't bring it to work.
Honestly.
It
does help.
And sharing. So do you find that that's something that you're probably not always a big sharer, but you've got so much to share? Do you find it helpful?
I think sharing is something that I would do if I can see the benefit for someone else. So like I just don't be oddly sharing stuff just because oddly sharing stuff.
To all her
But like I like to share with value. So if I'm sharing something, then it needs to be like relatable kind of thing. So I know quickly I lectured at University of East London, which was actually my like third choice, and they gave me a conditional offer, which is so funny. But I went back there and I lectured. Shouts out to Jason again, bless him. But so I went back there, and it was literally just like they were students, but I wasn't. I was a student not long ago, so it was like being relatable helped me to break down something that they once found difficult. So I always like to do that in conversation. Let me make sure that I'm leaving them with them feeling seen, feeling heard or feeling like someone else is going through the same thing that I'm going through. So now I love to share in conversation,
That's
of course.
brilliant.
So I don't just be talking loads.
Yeah.
So
Like, that's why,
that's a safe place. I think safe
Yeah.
place is really important, and that's what New Money is about. So I think guess we could just end the podcast with just that. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
That was
This is
lovely.
that's amazing. Do you have any
Yeah.
last closing remarks you want to say?
No, just no.
I loved it.
Join the community.
Yeah, join the community. We're here, no, legit, we're here for you.
Yeah,
And that's
we
what
are.
it's about. So
We
why
got
not?
ya.
Yeah,
Like,
we
we're
no,
like
we
a-
really.
like a Easter egg show. Insecure.
Yeah,
we got you.
we got.
like that.
No,
yeah.
we do. We do.
We've
We
got
do.
you. We got you. We've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good.
Loved.
Oh, thanks.
Loved. Loved.
Wow.
Like
Loved.
you know, like you got
Loved.
shit to say.
I love it.
Loved.
I love
Did
a
you
good
love it?
conversation.
I hope you
Yeah.
loved it because I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, I
loved
think
it.
it was
I
a
feel
good
like I'm feeling
In
conversation.
my mind, I'm doing it.
Oh, you loved it. I loved it.
You're terrible. You got a lot of good short stuff that I can
You say you give,
into TikToks.
Point. I wonder if it's because it's church people. If it's I don't know, but like,
It could be.
you
I
know,
grew
like,
up there
because
all my life.
It's a way of explaining how you feel. Like, 'cause
But I'm also a good
Yes.
teacher though,
That's what I'm
because
trying
that's
to-
how I learn. Because I learn visually
Yes.
and practically. Someone has to break it down to me, unless I have to.
No, I do.
Yeah.
So then you're
You
able to
are-
break
I
it
feel
down.
Like you really should look into ADHD because like it sounds like you were at school. You found a way to mask really well, and then it sounds
yes,
like
that I
you've
did.
now taken that to the service that you offer the world.
Mm.
And I think that it's good because sometimes these labels don't actually help you do anything.
Yeah.
except feel
Yeah.
Like you've got it. Like,
The thing.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like you've got
label.
a thing.
Mm.
But I think that one thing that really is
fine.
fine. One thing that I thought was really touching what you said, and also what both of you what you're saying is that like I had to really struggle with not feeling stupid. Like I didn't know that I was dyslexic when I was in school because no one diagnosed me, but I was in special reading class. So all of these kind of like these classes or that you might have been put in or these labels that you might have been put in as like you're not that brilliant until you go through the full level of your life. You don't realize what you're good at yet. So you just all you have is like, well, you're not great at that. And I think what I love about it is you guys really came through and have had that experience
But
of
that's
what
why
you're
we're
good
New
at.
Money as well, because
Yeah.
we don't have people that we can say, yeah, like in our family, they did this journey, so now I'm copying. We kind of had to figure out
We had to
with
figure.
no map,
Yeah.
or like not even seeing the map, or like the map's blurry, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to navigate, and
You
you,
don't-
you
to
can
be
trust
fair-
in
to be
yourself, your gut, and
The maps that we tried to follow didn't suit us.
That's the
Right?
point as well. And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of women, it's sort of like the maps they try to
Yeah,
follow
Dan.
may not suit them now. That was really
Thank
good.
you. That was really
We
good.
can
I'm
do
looking
yours
forward
too.
to
We don't
I
do
don't
navigate.
know if you,
I don't think we can.
do you have time? I can do mine. We could do it, but
Do you have another client?
No.
okay, well we can go.
Okay.
Not me looking more tired this day because
Naturally.
this hair up. Ruth,
Yes.
Shola, he's recording behind the scenes.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. So
I'm
Oh.
gonna be doing it from over here.
Oh,
Why
okay.
are you on focus?
Who?
Me, Lois.
Lois, yeah. Why are you on focus?
I don't know. Am I not? I look focused to
You
me.
were in focus earlier. Okay. Just look.
Sorry, I think that way.
Hey, you were in focus.
Because my head's so big, it's like, is
Stop
this
it.
a whole head? Is it a background?
your head is not big.
So who wants to interview me?
We can both tag team on that.
Yeah, Shola, you go ahead first because this is your bag.
Just me.
She
I will
is
jump in
great,
though.
actually, at
She is
interviewing.
great.
She
She's
did a really
amazing.
good job at Great Countdown
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Do you remember that one?
because it was like a week ago.
Stop.
A week ago.
Was it?
No, but
it was
about
like 3
weeks. 3 weeks ago.
Oh, geriatric is crazy.
So you want pictures or videos?
I think like
Anything you think
just
it looks
like
cool.
I think a picture and a video. Maybe a picture.
That's what I was thinking. I should have done it. Oh,
Mike's on.
Mike's on.
Yeah. So what we're I was just good talk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, yeah.
What, we're just gonna
Yeah,
pretend
like we're here recording our first
Yeah.
podcast, first New Money podcast.
Woo.
Yeah.
We've done 2
Yes.
episodes
Picture
down.
or
Oh, sorry,
video?
pictures.
Oh, I
Oh,
thought
sorry,
you were
sorry, sorry.
recording.
Sorry.
Picture and video. Which one are you doing?
So which one? Because you're talking.
I thought you were doing video.
Okay, let's do video.
Okay.
Give me your
I was probably distracted in that anyways. So
Distracted in what?
the first video, I was like talking
Oh,
everything.
yeah. Can you fit us all in? 'Cause everyone's-
Okay. 3, 2.
We're so excited to film the first New Money podcast.
yeah.
And
I'm
we're
super
2
excited.
episodes down already.
Yes.
Yeah.
One more to go.
I know.
We got this.
And so far, not to like ruin the surprise,
Yeah.
but it's amazing.
It is.
Yes, naturally. But
Yeah, it's the best. I think it's the best I've ever heard.
But this is to myself.
Listen at me. Me write the critic reviews.
Me in the comments.
Critics say.
give me 1
Do you know I get locked out? I told you I have the app block right at 7. Or at
Oh,
9.
yeah.
So on days where I didn't get to. Yeah.
Go on, Shola.
I don't even know what to say. Okay. Tom, when you're ready.
3, 2.
Okay, guys, today we are launching New Money Podcast. As you can see, filming our first 3 episodes. It's going really well. 2 down, 1 to go. How are we feeling, ladies?
Pretty good.
Excited. Super
Yes.
excited.
I feel like new money.
Right?
Oh.
Exactly. So stay tuned.
Love it. Thank you.
I'm just going to keep throwing you in down till it's my turn.
And return.
It's my turn.
Pictures.
Okay.
Oh, we're doing
I love a good peace sign.
I love this. Like,
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1.
now he knows that we're gonna want options.
No, legit.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I love it.
It's sort of that person who
Seriously,
takes
like-
one picture and
Here
just
you go.
moves on.
We're done now.
Yeah.
Right?
She's like, marry me now, please.
Yes.
Any content.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I literally need to check. Oh my god, it's 5:44. Explain
Oh my
to people that I'm at home. I'm gonna take an Uber home. Is there any train that goes straight from Bromley North to like London Bridge or Victoria or yeah?
Go to where? London Bridge.
Check the train times.
Because I had to change from Grove. I had to get a train from London Bridge to Grove, then Grove to Bromley North.
We could do. This is 6 o'clock. Should we do more on another day?
That's what I was thinking, only because I actually have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I was happy to move it, so let me know.
No, I'm happy to.
You sure? And
Yeah.
also then I can just make sure.
Oh, Bromley. I came from
Yeah,
Bromley.
for the third one, and I can change my hair.
And also-
wash my hair.
Yeah, and if you're not feeling
Oh, fair.
100% for your own,
Yeah. You might as well feel better. It's up to you though.
because it is a bit
Get
late.
well soon.
What time
No,
do
I
you
don't-
usually wrap up?
Recording.
Oh,
Damn,
yay.
didn't even stop the recording.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we were just all
Sorry,
this time.
sorry.
To be fair, we were talking about something interesting that we can use as B-roll. Sorry, I'm just thinking social
What,
content.
afterwards?
Get all your
Yeah, we were talking. I don't even know what we were talking about. It's gonna annoy me now. Yes, thank you so much. Because I can do another day.
No, it can't be a bad constellation.
It is, sir. How do you know? Aries. 444. Yeah.
You recognise your perfect.
Look, you feel like I told you that already.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
So.
Oh my days. Sorry. Sorry.
Ooh, what?
I want to see.
Oh wow.
You
I
did
wanna
your
see.
thing. You really did your thing.
I wanna see.
Okay. Like,
Literally, like you're literally from behind the
I
scenes.
need to post that on.
I was trying to figure out the
Instagram today.
angle. I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out like where is this video coming from? You're
Just
behind
how
the
it
glass.
looks, you know.
Oh my God.
This isn't no white background,
Yeah.
you know, wooden chairs.
Stop.
7:47.
Barely
what's
a
that
mic.
train? Next one. 7.
Where are you going? Because I can drop you guys to the station. I don't even know where it is though.
It's
The
literally
station's
across
just
the road.
Oh, then you
They
guys
should
can-
drop us to London.
Girl. Imagine having that in.
Someone move.
from doing BTS.
What's the point of having a car if you don't want to drive your
Girl,
babes?
I only drive in my area.
Yeah, that's 30 minutes. That's how she drove here.
Right.
I was literally looking for.
South London. Can't drive in Central.
No,
That
no
makes
one's.
sense.
No one's.
Central stressed me out.
Yeah, Central. I can't do
I'm
it.
not